clear.
12 out of 15 bans against Bjergsen.
Yeah, so I wonder who the biggest threat on the enemy team is. There you go.
It's just to humor him, you know?
Yeah. That's only 3 games. You know, they're spending only 3 other bans on other champions. It's insane how much of an influence he had, and that was also with them picking the Ziggs for Damonte, which was a big part of why they were able to neutralize Bjergsen. You know, the Damonte had a great series there, and that was really impressive.
I just want to jump in real quick, Crumbs, before you go, to just call out the number of bans for each of those. It was 3 Zilean Akali and LeBlanc bans. So each of those champions was banned across all 3 of the games, 2 Aurelia, 1 TF. Now,
Damonte did a pretty fine job there with the Ziggs. I really like that pick for him, especially against the control mages that you see right now. But to be fair for Golden Guardians, I do think that banning out Bjergsen only works when the rest of TSM is not stepping up. Because if I'm a player on the team and one of my players is drawing 12 out of 15 bans, I've already failed and the game hasn't started. I need to be good enough at a champion that warrants a ban so that Bjergsen gets freed up.
Looking at this rematch, there were questions about who TSM would ultimately be starting in the support position, and it appears that they have decided on Biofrost for today's game. So, Treats coming in midway through the split, playing up to this point, and now all of a sudden, we're switching things up. How do we feel about
Biofrost is the better player, according to the tweet. It was insane, I think, for a lot of people to see that swap happening in the middle of the week when it was announced that they might be looking into it. It makes some sense, though. Biofrost has been a better laner. As much as the KDA has been better with Treats and he's made less mistakes than you can say, he's also taken less risk, and it's transformed Double from winning most of his lanes to losing most of his lanes. And against FBI and Huhi, I do think we need to have a little bit more of a focus on counterpicking and getting winning lane matchups.
I think it's been a matter of comfort, not only for Double having played with Biofrost for so long, especially in high-pressure situations like playoffs, but then you have Treats, who, it's not like he looked bad when he was in Academy. I think Treats and Lost are actually quite a formidable duo, and I don't even know if they are better than Double and Biofrost. They kind of look like they're just as good, so when you look at their champion pools now, it might give us a clue as to what TSM is thinking about from the support role, and there's not that many unique champions that the Biofrost selection has, but the Blitzcrank might be a big one if you're thinking about playing champions like Ballista.
Some unique choices, but also very different priority here, probably, when you look at the champion pools.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be like your playmaker on Biofrost usually. Like Treats, if I remember correctly, he was the Enchanter support bringing in, so when they started playing with Treats, he was not relegated to Enchanter supports as much as I thought he would be. So bringing in Biofrost maybe is just their way of saying, like, okay, we're going to be playing these stable bot lanes that can lend themselves to team fights, and they're not going to be necessarily lane dominant. I'm not really positive what the purpose of this swap is.
Statistically, we see that Double does do better in the lane with Biofrost in the lineup. But, of course, you're going up against Golden Guardians, so as much help as Biofrost might be, we do have to recognize how solid FBI and Huhi are. Look at those numbers in the first series win against TSM.
Yeah, you got to do something about that. You can't let that happen again, considering Double is supposed to be one of your best players. So I think seeing that is a big reason why they're looking into it, as well as the issues around this Morgana pick that we've been harping on over and over again. And in the TSM Legends thing, they talked about going for comfort. In a double elimination tournament, you know, like, I don't know why you'd be going for comfort in the upper bracket. So I think whether that's the coaching staff or Treats or whoever, they need to have more confidence in their counter picks to actually try and win this lane against them. And it can be done. Double has been a good laner for most of the split, and I want to see if they can actually get up and contest FBI this time around.
A big stat there for me is the gold at 15, because the CS is very similar, but the fact that FBI's 4 percentage has continued to creep up is just giving him gold from plates.
Yeah, so still finding ways to gain advantages even though those CSDs are rather close. Time will tell today whether or not the Biofrost substitution is enough to take control of the bot lane, because probably I've got questions around your takeaways from the TL series, FBI and Huhi in that one. Was anything exposed in them as a duo that TSM could pick up on?
I don't think they're exposed at all. This was actually kind of like nice to see that FBI and Huhi were kind of being able to fight against Core JJ and Tactical, who, you know, are actually excellent laners. Before we thought like maybe this was a one-off and they could beat TSM, who was, you know, maybe not that strong, but they showed really great stuff against TL, where they're counter-picking themselves, picking the Braum into the Morgana, and still able to get 2v2 kills. Like, that's pretty shocking. You know, Braum Senna is not a I'm gonna kill you lane. So that's just crazy that they could do it against such a strong
What, if anything, would be a concern to take away Mark from the TL series?
I think the fact that when the gameplay seems to fall apart, I sometimes still get sketched out by Golden Guardians drafts. They had the 5 range, you know, no frontline, no real setup CC for team fighting and a Drake team fight meta. I think that their drafts can still get away from them. So if TSM can get ahead of them, start winning these games, show that the permaban Bjergsen strat isn't working, it might throw enough of a wrench in their plans that Golden Guardians have some of these wonky drafts that over-rely on the early game and laning phase.
Minute ahead of game time, I want to get predictions up on the screen, see where you all fall. Will it be a repeat of the first time around with Golden Guardians taking it, or does TSM strike back?
Wow.
Well, all of you think it'll be closer than it was the first time, but that Golden Guardians is still going to take it. Interesting. No one has faith in the substitution.
Well, no. Not really. I mean, we haven't seen them do a lot in regular season, and then in playoffs they get subbed out, so maybe his playoff experience turns up, but Golden Guardians' preparation was clearly superior to TSM's, despite both being able to play the games afterwards. They still look better, in my opinion.
All right, well, the analysts don't think TSM's done the work to prepare and adjust for this time around. Let's hand it over to Freak and Azael to get ourselves into game 1 of the day.
Thank you very much, Dash, and welcome to the next round of playoffs as TSM and Golden Guardians do battle for the second time here in about as many weeks. They battled the first time around, and Golden Guardians 3-0'd them. It was a clean one, and now we get the revenge with Biofrost back in the lineup. Azael, how you doing?
I'm doing well, man. I'm really excited for the series. We already know that Cloud9 is awaiting the winner of this match, and that is going to be the battle, you know, to get into the top 3, to get that final world spot, and to try to continue onward for the summer split title. So a lot on the line here for both of these two teams, and I do think it's interesting because we have this revenge match, right? Because we have the lower bracket, and I am just so interested to see what are the adaptations that TSM has made. The analyst asked with the triple Golden Guardians prediction, but I think that, you know, TSM does have ways to win this series, right? If we saw the Golden Guardians are going to go the same route where they're fully targeting Bjergsen, where they're trying to get winning 2v2s, to me the obvious adjustment had to be TSM, fix your support champion pool. Try to put yourself in a position to be able to punish the blind Morgana, because that is what Golden Guardians was going to time and time again. They are triple banning Bjergsen here already. Yes, you can call some of those flex bans towards top, but really this is kind of all focused at Bjergsen thus far, so that is the same as it was last time around. And I'm going to be so interested to see if it is, you know, Caitlyn Morgana, this sort of style, and if so, what is TSM's answer in game number 1? Because I do feel like Biofrost and Doublelift must play at a higher level than Doublelift and Treats played last time around if TSM won a shot.
Well, there's the Caitlyn first pick, there's the Ashe answer, and now TSM, how are you going to win your support matchup? I assume you lock in the Ashe here at some point. Are you blinding support? Are you waiting till third pick? How do you make sure the 2-on-2 goes well? Because TSM with Biofrost tends to win lane. TSM without Biofrost tends to lose lane. Nifia and Huhi also tend to win lane almost every time. So Graves picked up, Lee Sin likely to be the answer. Let's see what else is locked in.
So I do prefer just saving your support pick to third here. There is no support pick locked in unless you assume that it's going to be, you know, Shen support, which I think is incredibly unlikely. I do think this is going to be Shen top, so there's not going to be necessarily parity in the picks. I do think that TSM could go for Morgana now and then ban out some of the answers to that if they wanted to go for that sort of route, if they feel like that is the power pick. You also can match Shen top and then try to ban out some of the supports that perhaps who he would go to, or even save, you know, 5th pick. Counter pick. The Vladimir is going to be going top almost guaranteed against the Shen. We did see Licorice play it yesterday. I do think it is a good answer, and finally we're seeing more than just GP as an answer into tanks. I tend to think that Cassio and Vlad both suit very, very well alongside AG junglers. They are strong matchups into tanks. They scale very well alongside them, so I think it's an intelligent answer, but of course, Shen, the concern is always what is he going to do outside of the lane, not necessarily in that lane.
And it's going to be interesting to watch how this plays out because, hey, you've got a Vladimir. Yeah, your gank assist isn't great, don't get me wrong, but if you ever do get, you know, worn down, you've got the CC chain of Volibear Shen to kill you, so you want a little bit of attention from Spica just to make sure Broken Blade can free farm, but then in the mid to late game really be that carry source. I went back and watched Sneaky's co-stream of some of these games as well, back the last time these teams played, and he was saying that Ashe is a little bit favored into Caitlyn, that Ashe is an actual counter and that you want to play play that matchup, and it's up to Caitlyn to land Qs through the minion wave that also hit Ashe. If you don't do that, you should be behind a little bit. So as long as the support matchup's close, at least according to him at the very least, if it's an undisturbed bot lane, that is an advantage to Doublelift and Battlefield just on matchup.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and I do tend to think that it's, you know, it can be slightly favored towards Ashe, you know, based on the ease of hitting volley versus the filter over Peacemaker. But I do generally think that supports have a bigger effect, right? So if there is a big support mismatch, all of a sudden that's kind of out the window. And lo and behold, 5 bans towards Bjergsen. 12 of 15 of Golden Guardians bans did go towards Bjergsen in the last series. So make it 17 of 20 now are bans against Bjergsen over the course of these 4 games. He's going to get Syndra anyway. But guess what? They did push him towards this. I think it's such an obvious open pick that clearly Golden Guardians would have been ready for it. I think Echo makes sense as an answer towards it. It is considered, you know, kind of a counter pick, so to speak. In the early lane phase, it can be a little bit tough against the Syndra in that melee versus range advantage. But if you can play this matchup aggressively, especially post 6, you can really come out on top. And then you're playing alongside the Shen, so you have the potential to go into a 1-3-1. You have the potential to group up and really answer there. And Lux support, this is something that has been from the LCS championship, you know, playoffs here as far as a support pick. I think it's incredibly strong, and I think that Lux does have a pretty heavy advantage even against the Karma. Karma, Ashe have very good push, but Lux Caitlyn is something that is really popular elsewhere in the world, and Lux is really, really strong in solo queue as well. So despite the fact that it is technically the last pick here for Biofrost, and he has the support counter, so to speak, I do think that they got the worst end of the support matchup again, just because, you know, Golden Guardians kind of like did the math here, and they're like, all right, well, these are banned out. You know, what are you going to have as an answer? It doesn't feel like they have the best one. That being said, it's still a lot closer, I think, as far as the bot lane matchup than what we saw in all 3 games in the previous series.
This is exciting. I'm always a huge fan of teams that do a bunch of draft prep and come out with exciting picks. It's Golden Guardians and Demonte pushing TSM into Bjergsen, saying, don't worry, this man loves his assassins. Let's bring out the Echo. It's a good pick. The ult, and you're going to be really happy. And on the other side, maybe the single strongest support in League of Legends right now is Lux. Yes, this is still 10-16. The small shield nerfs are not in on this patch. She's still very good in 10-17, probably still pickable in pro play as well. But Lux is an absurdly good pick down to the bottom lane. So go ahead and answer with Karma. Your solo queue win rate's like 8% lower than mine. Like, we're good here. This is a stronger champion overall. I really like the Golden Guardians draft. I think this was very intelligent of them. I don't think TSM was, like, you know, inting their draft either. I know that was like a lot of the criticism that TSM got the first time around, was it felt like they were never really able to move the champions around. This looks like a solid TSM draft. The Golden Guardians look better.
Yeah, I mean, I do always have concerns for drafts like what TSM is having, you know, because you have relatively low engage against a team that wants to split push, right? And so when you're in these types of situations, you generally become incredibly dependent upon winning your laning phase, because then the way that you win the game is by being ahead so that you can go to the objective and force your opponent to come to respond, and then you kill them or you take the dragon or the barrier or whatever. That's generally how this has to be played out. Ashe engage is not enough, right? You know, sure, you can theoretically get these out of your flanks and stuff, but you don't have the go buttons on the TSM side. So I think that is going to be the concern for them against a team that wants to spread the map, that wants to split push them to death, you know, with this Echo Shen. And they also have, you know, more ways to start off fights with Echo going in, with the Stand United, and these types of things. TSM going 5 bots, so maybe looking for some sort of wraparound or cheeky invade. Maybe just going to camp in this brush and see if anyone came forward to actually go for a little bit of a warding mission. Because sometimes people will just move in and look for that link ward.
All right, well, they're going to try for it. I'm always a fan of seeing teams try stuff. Not going to happen, though. It does mean that if there is any kind of invade by Golden Guardians, no one's there to meet it. Early ward comes down from closer into the recall for the sweeper. Same exact play for Huhi. So both supports, both junglers playing for ward control overall. Sweepers early on, only 3 warding trinkets for either team at this point. And looks like there won't be any big invasions, and will be a very, very standard jungle strongholds.
So what I really want to track about this bottom lane 2v2 is, can TSM get the push? Because I tend to think that against Caitlyn Lux, you must maintain the push, or it becomes nearly impossible to really get anything done in this. And we'll see, Demonte actually gets Electro and that 3rd hit, so that's actually a really big deal to start things off. But basically the reason it's so important, specifically in this matchup, as Bjergsen is really getting punished, is because if you allow the Caitlyn Lux to push you in, what they will do is they will set up a trap line on one side of the turret, and then they will drop the Lux E on the other side of the turret, and it makes it nearly impossible to actually step forward and farm as the marksman player without getting poked. So you must maintain the push as Ashe here alongside the Karma. You know, throw out the volleys that hit not only the minions, but the enemy champions, so you get the bonus attack speed from the lethal tempo. Make sure that Biofrost is using the Qs to help push as well. Because if you can keep them locked in under their turret, it's so much easier to deal with the traps, to deal with the Lux stuff, because you don't have this tower kind of making the lane smaller for you, which makes it so much easier for your opponents to hit those skill shots.
Absolutely, and of course you can see the intent on how to play the lane different, of course, on both sides as well. Lux in, you know, if you're playing her well, is actually a defensive support. You're going Guardian, you're maxing shield. You are doing your very best to guarantee that nothing ever dies. It actually works well against Poke because the shield is instant cast. It works well against All In because you have a bunch of base shielding on there as well. He's also running Exhaust in case there's ever that Vladimir dive. And it means that, yeah, he's going Relic Shield. He's going to wait, he's going to scale, he's going to get a feed, he's going to be fine. Biofrost and Doublelift really, really, really trying to push in the early few waves. They've got a CS advantage, they've got a health advantage, right? It's Doran's shield and the potion's already used by FBI. This is the kind of lane TSM and Doublelift want, and it's happening so far.
Exactly. You know, it's all about that push here. And Spica
that's so
getting
smart.
on top of him. Phase versus proc. Demonte's in trouble here. Oh,
His
no.
flash missed, he got the slow, he's getting away, but two more autos, just takes one. The buck hits him in the face, and Spica puts him in the ground.
That was such poor timing. So unlucky there for Demonte. Spica with the perfect sense to be in the right spot at right time, but he's going to TP in. They're going to try to collapse here. Spica does have his flash.
Burn flash, he flashes, then jumps over. But he'll get a shield and a slow, and
dead.
Spica doesn't have his jump back. Hey, this is going to be double buffs. Thank you very much. Demonte needs one more spell. Buff transfer complete. Thanks for the cash money. Thank you very much. 300 more gold on the board.
With how long it took him, I wonder if Bjergsen couldn't have moved. You know? Like, originally it looked like he was just going to instantly die. Yeah. Like, so I understand why Bjergsen didn't move, because it's looking like, okay, he's just insta-dead to this. But look at this. He slid over the wall right as he went to place the ward. So you're just doomed in this situation. Poor flash, though, from Demonte. I think you just kind of have to accept the death. And, you know, at this point, like, this is actually just a really nice play because they had a bit of a push up on that top side. So Vladimir has first move. Demonte TP's back in with those home guards, you know, the little pity home guards there for dying early on in lane. And he's just going to get right in on top of him. But because he actually took so long,
walking over,
maybe a Scatter of the Week could have saved him there, but that's a really hard call to make, right? You don't want your wave to be doomed off of that.
Yeah. I mean, we saw Bjergsen in the minimap, like, walk over, then back, and then walk over, and then back. And he said, can I? Nope. Maybe only have 2 spells. And then, yeah, he finally came at the very end, and it was too late. So, yeah, tough call. End of the day, it is a close game. You can see a small gold lead live with TSM right now, 2 to 400 based on rounding and which camps go down. 7 CS lead for Doublelift down in the bottom lane. 5 CS lead for Broken Blade up in the top side. So far, so good. I mean, definitely a zany start, but TSM doing just fine.
Yeah, they are. Their laning phases are going well. The only concerning thing for TSM is of course the double buffs plus the kill onto Demonte. You know, I talked about the only part of this matchup that generally feels really tough unless you just get slammed as Echo is the early laning phase where you're kind of getting auto attack down, and if you get poked out, it can be rough. Well, red buff and blue buff help a lot with that, and Closer not quite spotted. So Closer has snuck in here undetected. We'll see if they can actually get on top of Biofrost. Remember, Biofrost has no cleanse. So if you actually get a stun on him into a binding, he's just going to die.
Binding. Here comes the Q. Here comes a bunch of CC, and there is literally nothing you can do about this one. Goodbye to Biofrost. Light binding means death, and the gold gets tied.
That's rough for TSM because they were in such a good spot. Look how low the HP bars are over for Golden Guardians. So if they actually didn't get that gank to bail them out, they would have had to base with the wave potentially frozen on them, which would have given the TSM bottom lane an incredible advantage. So in the 2v2, TSM doing great, but Closer the one who really disrupts that and turns it around, lets them get that good base timing off, and now this lane will be much more comfortable than it was for the Golden Guardians.
At the very least, Spica punishes the bot lane gank with 2 camps poached away. So that's a nice 200 gold that the Volibear can't gain. The XP he won't grab either as he looks around and missing pings. He's like, yeah, the wolves are gone. The wolves are gone. Sorry about that one. All right, we'll walk up. Is the Gromp gone? Is the ward? There's a ward. Oh, Closer. He missed the ward. But he sees the Gromp is gone. He knows where the Graves was. It's going to be a recall on a top side, but hey, double longsword and boots, that's going to feel pretty comfortable. Spica is certainly very powerful in this game with first blood and a couple extra camp lead.
He's going to be looking pretty happy as far as the jungle 1v1. And then it just, of course, becomes, which is going to be more effective, which has more of an impact there. They are moving down towards this dragon. They have control over mid lane. They had the push there, and after that kill over in bottom lane, they have a bit of push there. So we'll see if they're going to be the ones to make the first move. Closer is spotted over by that dragon, and we'll have to find out if TSM can regain the push here in this bottom lane 2v2.
All right, well, minions going back and forth, minions getting dropped down. We'll see if the Drake ever does get attacked right now, as a defensive control ward will eventually be swept, but right now Biofrost is holding that one. Mid pushed in by Demonte. Devilbuffs helps him have lane control for a while, but those have since timed out. Easy last hit with the Relic Shield, and that means the squad comes down. A Moby's Rush for Huhi. Easy BF Sword recall on both sides for the AD carries, doubled with a long sword in there as well. So the Essence Reaver build, I like it about the same as Ruin King, honestly. It makes you a bit more of a spellcaster. It also means if your opponents have a lot of healing and shielding, you can actually still deal damage, because a 10% health tank just doesn't take damage from Ruin King anymore, and it feels like really bad trying to kill them off when they're just getting a Lux Shield, and you can't break that anymore. So there's something said about not doing Ruin King. End of the day, Bjergsen is going to just get to stop Demonte's recall, but that means they're trading back and forth. It's a lot here. Oh my gosh, Bjergsen is running low on health. Could this be a kill without flash just outside the stun? Demonte just going to clear the wave and get out.
Bjergsen barely skirting out of that outside of that stun. If that was me, I flash 100%. I would have been pretty scared about that actually landing, because that looked like his little pinky toe was still inside the stun. We'll see if they can catch him here with a stun.
Nearsighted flash. Cute. Ooh, yeah, if he didn't dodge that ult, that was going to be a death, so he has to get the Shen ulti out. It's not going to hurt that badly for Hauntzer. His wave's in an okay spot, but
no, it's actually pushing away from him. It's going to push away from him, so it actually is pretty bad. Because that's going to stack on his side. And look at this combo. Biofrost in trouble. And that is the combo that you can kind of pull off here with Lux. And generally speaking, when I see this in Pro, what the Luxes will do is anytime they land a stun, like anytime they land a root or a trap or whatever, they'll just actually use the ultimate. It's a relatively low cooldown, and you can just use it for lane control. You're not building full AP, so it's not like the one-shot style of Lux. This is Relic Shield generally straight into support items. So it's more about getting control there, more about getting that poke. TSM do spot them over here on this Rift Herald, but Bjergsen isn't there yet, so Broken Blade's just got to kind of run away, and I think they need to see this.
All right, Herald will be grabbed at 9 minutes, 12 seconds in. Plenty of time to drop that somewhere and give a lane some extra gold from turret plates. Haunts are going to knock down a ward. New Trinket comes down, so Broken Blade knows there's a gank path right now. And right now the top laners are pretty equal in farm and pretty equal in XP, as they are both level 8, ruining the synergy of the 7-7 and the CS department. That's okay. Give them 10 CS, it'll be prettier again. And regardless, around recalls come through again as Berserker Greaves come in for FBI. Double will match that before too terribly long, as you don't really want to lane with an item disadvantage, even if it's only Berserker's Greaves. Just tends to be impactful. So we'll see that probably come through fairly soon, as Bjergsen is going for Archangel Staff as a slightly more defensive option for that shield to survive the Echo Burst.
Exactly, and also you have to remember that it's going to be Echo plus Shen in a side lane a lot of the time, where he'll have to be out in that side lane answering, and it's probably going to be him in a 1v2 with that Stand United coming through, so he wants that extra little bit of defense. He went for the TP, he's not playing a defensive summoner, so that is going to help him make up for that. It's also worth noting that, back on that S3 discussion a little bit for Ashe, because Caitlyn isn't playing Cleanse, we'll see if they can chase down over here, but probably not. So yeah, because FBI isn't playing Cleanse, that is where they're going to actually look to attack it. It's interesting because generally speaking, the Caitlyn's will take Cleanse in this matchup, and I've heard some of the reasoning for going Essence Reaver specifically against Caitlyn is actually to attack the Cleanse. Essentially, every time your ultimate is up, you shoot the arrow out of the Caitlyn, and you try to make sure that you just have your ultimate up so much more often than Caitlyn can avoid them. In this case, there's no cleanse at all, so I would like to see TSM trying to get someone proactive and actually attack FBI in the lane with that arrow, because if you wait till it's teamfight time, it's pretty hard to actually land an arrow on FBI, who's going to be behind the Volibear, behind the Shen, behind the Echo, So really, this is their window to do it, but it doesn't seem like they're really attempting.
Red where he was, they land a lot of CC. Arrow's going to come down, jump back by FBI, not going to leave the stun on for too long, but Biofrost is flashless. FBI does burn the heal. Didn't end up having to do so, but he was afraid of getting counterpunched, I suppose. End of the day, summoner advantage very slightly with Golden Guardian.
Yep, another nice binding there from Hui, and this is, again, what I was talking about, where anytime you land a binding, you just ult it. You just say, all right, great, we have lane control, because if you can land that binding into trap, into ult, all the stuff hits, you can potentially 100 to 0 someone. In this case, Doublelift had a good counter ultimate, so he actually, you know, arrowed FBI, which is, I think, what spooked FBI into using his heal there defensively. But, you know, that also bought time for Biofrost to get out of the binding so that the trap wasn't actually layered. But because of the gank, because of the last couple good bindings from Hui, it is now the Golden Guardians bottom lane who seem to have regained the push, and they're the ones really on the offensive here.
Monte not going to find the stun just yet, but that means that the Volibear certainly will, and Bjergsen's days are numbered. 18 seconds, 30 actually now till he respawns.
Yeah, Bjergsen going down very quickly there. Spica should be able to defend, but the Rift Herald's going to drop, so there will at least be 3 plates off this turret. He would have had the early flash. We'll see if Broken Blade wants to try to set up the dive. Now Haunter's definitely going to have to back it up, but Volibear is moving up here, so Broken Blade will have to be at least somewhat careful.
Yeah, I mean, definitely some damage in the top side, though, as well. Of course, Haunter down to about 1/3 HP, and he's not too far away from, you know, one-shot capability from Broken Blade. You can see, I believe he's bleeding plates down there as well, if I can read that properly. 2, I believe, are dead up there, so that's 300 gold above just the 7 CS difference. Broken Blade, as we mentioned, right, he got counterpick. He's supposed to be a difference maker in this game. We have seen Vlad's carry team fights, and it can be very hard as a, you know, low MR AD carry or, you know, anyone else to just survive Vlad burst in the late game.
But right now, I mean, this is Golden Guardians again on the Dragon, and I feel like, you know, TSM needs to be the ones that are actually stacking dragons to really have much chance in this game, because they're the ones that are really low on engage. They're the ones that are hurting for the win conditions as far as that is concerned. So the fact that Golden Guardians actually are the ones to get the first 2 dragons means TSM will not be able to force them to come fight them at an inopportune time. Because even if TSM grabs, say, the next 2 dragons, and they challenge to the next, whatever, you are now pushing back a potential TSM soul so late in the game that there's no pressure for Golden Guardians to ever pull out outside of their split push, right? They can afford to give up 1 or 2 dragons before they care at all.
Right, and it allows time. It allows Golden Guardians 20 straight minutes of split pushing as a result, right? That's the end game is, well, we took Infernal Break number 1. Okay, we took your inhibitor turret. We took Infernal Break number 2. Well, we took your inhibitor. We took Infernal Break number 3. Well, your Nexus turrets are gone. It's like, well, at what point does Golden Guardians have to care? Is Infernal still better than Nexus? No. So that is the funny version of what you're talking about for, you know, the people with smaller brains like me who can understand. But Broken Blade is still farming up nicely. He is doing an early Spellbinder, it looks like, which is cool after getting the early CDR. Then goes to the raw AP stack. That'll be fun to look at later on down the line. And of course, getting to jam Qs means you're invincible in the entire laning phase. And Haunter currently down a level, tries to wave through under turret, and, you know, yeah, that turret's at, you know, 15%.
But look at everyone coming top. 4 members from Golden Guardians up here on that top side. Broken Blade will be able to back it up. But yeah, this is a fairly standard Vladimir build, but it is interesting because I think more and more people these days are actually trying to skip some of the early CDR, like the Kindle Gem, and just go straight towards more raw AP. You know, I've been seeing a lot more people in SoloQ do things like they just go the Fiendish Codex and CDR boots, and then they go straight into Spellbinder Deathcap, or, you know, Deathcap Spellbinder, whatever, to just get raw AP so that they can threaten the one-shot on the backline. So when that team fight comes and you can flash on the Caitlyn and just try to absolutely delete them. You know, this does make your laning phase a lot easier when you go for these type of components, but then it's a question of, do you need the extra laning phase power?
Ooh, another bind's going to land. No ult this time on a Spica, though it was up from cooldown. Decided it's not going to be important in this case. He does a Merc Treads. End of the day, Spica walks away, not losing too much. Saves the warp. You can see Broken Blade is 2 autos away. Anytime you see the dash, just, hey, go into Sanguine Pool, land a couple of spells, and now could this be a real trade? Broken Blade, Empowered Q, deal some damage. And I don't believe at any point in time Broken Blade has used the ultimate. He's just sitting there, holding every cooldown he could ever need, ensure that he can get a small farm lead over Haunter and slowly whittle down that turret in a pretty much untouched top lane matchup. Solo first turret goes to Broken Blade.
It's really well done by Broken Blade, and I do think that Haunter took kind of the more cautious item build, because if you want to try to defend your tower, you can actually rush towards Tiamat and then have the wave clear to do that much more effectively, but you are also more at risk of getting dove, right? Because you don't have early MR, you don't have the HP of the cowl, so he did rush for the cowl, which made it harder to kill him, but easier to kill his tower, and that's kind of the decision that he did take. We'll see who gets this smite.
Fight over this one. Herald is going to be stunnable and smiteable, and it's going to go to Spica. Nicely done there. He's going to grab that one, no problem. Brooklyn in the back line. Big shields and FBI going to keep him safe. Knocking it out of Hemo Plague, and how about a re-engage? Is there one? Bjergsen on the side. Ult is going to come across. Damage more towards Broken Blade, but he has a ton of healing and a ton of damage. Haunter is running out of health. and Devils is on the scoreboard with 1. Now the re-engage comes through and they knock down the top laner, but it's a 4v4. Big Q gonna come across, a stun, looking towards double, it's not gonna catch him yet, but the root into the stun, but it's not enough! As Bjergsen cleans up a second kill and a third as well. TSM take that team fight and Golden Guardians forced to run.
TSM getting a huge fight there. They even got the Rift Herald. As Golden Guardians committed so heavily to trying to kill off that Vladimir, the taunt flash from Haunter critically missing onto Broken Blade. And as they all go into the pit to try to take down this Vladimir, TSM wraps around on them with 3 members, and Spica just hops right back over the wall. They get shredded. Went from basically a dead even game to a 3,000 gold lead here for TSM. Bjergsen grabbing a couple kills for himself, and we all know how dangerous his Syndra can be with the lead. Over a 70% win rate on this champion all time.
Yeah, TSM looking really good now, 3,000 gold up. Analysts as all predicted that Golden Guardians would still win the run back, just a closer series than last time. 3-1 or 3-2 based on who you ask. TSM, though, seeming to have corrected? I don't know the past tense of righted. Maybe it's righted.
They're doing better.
They're doing better. The wrongs have been written. my brain keeps going written. That's the past tense of right, but it's the wrong right. All right, they've left Golden Guardians in the dust now as a 2.8 thousand gold lead comes in. We find more antonyms in the thesaurus, and let's move on forward as Closer's going to knock this one down, no problem.
Of turners this game. They
Thank
can
you
look
for that.
either way, no problem. All right. So this next dragon, this feels like where TSM really needs a challenge. I don't think you can afford to just give up 3 straight dragons over to Golden Guardians, and it's just such an incredibly high risk then of 1 mistake equals soul, and that's generally like pretty game ending. So I want to see if TSM can now, with this gold lead, take this dragon. It feels incredibly important for them to be able to do, and Demonte going to take a little bit of a poke on that side. It may come down to the smite fight here. Golden Guardians does not look like they're posturing to actually fully commit to the fight, but they do look like they're going to try to go over and combo it.
Ooh, that was a nice one. It's picked up by the damage of FBI. The laser, the Q snipe, and Closer was there for good measure. I'm not even sure either jungler got the smite or it was slightly early from Speak. I couldn't quite tell which. The replay will tell us. But that is now soul point, infernal soul point for Golden Guardians.
That was really well done from Golden Guardians. Closer didn't even smite. I think Spica did, but this is just a really high damage combo. This is actually really intelligent. If Golden Guardians feel like, okay, we can't actually win out on this fight, so they try to combo it. Lux E, Lux ult, Piltover Peacemaker, and Smite. That just gets burst down from actually a very high amount of health there.
Yeah.
Really well done by Golden Guardians. Of course, it looks a little bit silly, but it's like, if Spica didn't use his smite, in a split second later, Closer's going to smite it. So Golden Guardians, honestly, that feels like much more of an outplay than a misplay. And that is the risk of giving up those early dragons. Now you're in this spot where you have to contest from now until infinity. They started with the first 3, and if they get just 1 steal or 1 pick before a dragon, it could be game ending.
All right, well, Golden Guardians are down in money, and I will point out, we don't talk about it very much because the numbers are a lot smaller here, but the dragons that you pick up themselves are worth, some level of intrinsic value. It's, I think, what, 4 or 5% more armor and magic resist, and like 4% more attack damage and ability power. Like, that is some number of gold worth of stats, which shrinks the gold lead slightly. Obviously, the soul is the really important one, which is more like, 800 gold per player in a lot of cases. But, a small increment here, which keeps the game a bit close on the scoreboard. TSM, though, in general, have been winning fights, have felt like they've had somewhat control of the map, so I want to see if they can keep this going and get a clean Drake next time.
Yeah, and that's going to be the challenge, right? And, well, not quite able to stop that in time, but... this is always the risk, right? And there's kind of a couple different schools of thought. Generally speaking, everyone agrees the game right now is about Dragon Soul, and then it's just how do you want to get towards it? Do you want to try to go for early game control, stack the early dragons? That's kind of option number 1, which is what Golden Guardians ended up doing this game. And then there's option number 2, which is essentially what TSM did, and that is simply seeding the first 2 dragons and trying to get lane and gold advantages, and then hoping that you have enough of an advantage at that point to take Drake 3 and then the dragons forever then on. Obviously, the risk with that is that if you fail a fight or you're not able to win that 3rd dragon, then you're sometimes kind of out of it.
Sure. And it was cool that we saw basically both styles, right? Golden Guardians spent a couple of closer ganks to the bot lane. They did, in fact, stack the first 2 Drakes. And TSM solo turret killed top lane with a counter pick. Like, you know, both playstyles were working out, and then the Drake still happened. And it's like, well, that's the risk you're talking about. That's the difficulty. Yep. And now, okay, TSM, it is not absolute GG unwinnable if Soul goes over, but it is very Golden Guardians favored if it does happen. You know, the saving grace being Inferno Soul doesn't save you when Vladimir one-shots Caitlyn. So, you know, there's like, you know, the counterplay still exists, but yes, it is so Golden Guardians favorite if TSM do not mount the comeback in the next 100 seconds.
And in the LCS, Soul has like a 90% win rate, just to give some context, right? And Golden Guardians actually did lose 2 Soul games themselves very early on, but that was with very weak late game comps. TP coming in, we'll see if they can find an angle here.
Nice slow, Volibear over the wall. Goodbye to Biofrost. Not really good way out of that one. You are Karma. You are easily attacked in the late game. You're picked for lane bullying, and the lane could not have been won in this game. So he will respawn in time for the Dragon, but Golden Guardians get to take map control first.
And that's going to be a big advantage for them, right? Because now you have this support, this Karma, who is fairly vulnerable, and it's going to be really difficult for Biofrost to be moving around. There is potential of a dive here. Bjergsen and Spica have got to be careful. They know that the wraparound is there, so now they will move forward.
And here comes the flat flank. Here comes the big play. Shen ult over the top as well. A lot of burst damage. FBI is trying to run away. Again, the shields are coming in. He's trying to stay alive. Just barely the shields for Hui, and they can't quite kill an FBI on a sliver of a fraction of a point of health. Walks away, and now this is a temporary 5v3 as Biofrost rejoins the fray in a second. But a 5v4 can still be tough. The health bars are low on Golden Guardians, and TSM are chasing them out of the jungle.
This is really smart. They're trying to stop them from basing before the Dragon. This is exactly what TSM do need to do. If you can keep them around here, they won't be able to reset. But Damonte looking over the wall here for Spica.
And for damage on a Spica, when does he get to ult out? His health bar is a bit low. Heals back over 500, and the respawn coming in fairly soon. Broken Blade's alive in 12 seconds. Same time as the Drake, and he can run back across the map. Closer trying to heal up on the jungle camps. TSM are healthy, and despite losing their top laner, TSM have wrested control of the jungle and are poised to take the Drake.
That was actually really smart, but Closer doesn't flash. He has no ultimate. Bjergsen and Biofrost are zoning. There comes the Lux ulti, so this should be a TSM Dragon. Really intelligent playing calling to actually just chase them down after that fight, and now Closer is caught.
Yeah, stays a bit too long, but maybe it's a bait. Nah, he's got spell shield. No way you kill Bjergsen off that one. So a flashless Volibear could be a problem in the next 5 minutes. Well done to TSM.
Yeah, that was just really heads-up thinking. Because they realized, hey, we lost a member, but the health bars are so low, if we prevent the base, it doesn't matter. And that's exactly what they were able to do. But that fight was so close to going heavily in the favor of TSM. And that is the situation where I'm talking about, you know, how I was talking about the builds earlier, right? Where if you actually go for more of a raw AP build instead of this Kindle gem where you have just more CDR and it makes your lane a little bit easier, potentially Hui and FBI die. Right? Like, you could have a more powerful raw AP build at this time because he went for Void Staff, because he went for Kindle, as well as the Merc Treads. You know, he went more kind of itemized towards that 1v1 almost against Haunter. And he did get the turret as a result, so, you know, you have to give him that credit. But it's these little differences that sometimes can mean a lot.
Yeah, and of course it's more difficult as well because, like, hey, what if you would have dropped 5 CS because of not having the cooldown back up, or if that turret wasn't going to die in time, or, you know, a million other reasons, or we got a second queue up that fight because of CDR.
Yep.
It's not that one is completely better than the other, and I know it's not the point that you're making. It's just to add context that, look, it's tough to make the exact call. Sometimes people call it losing the shopkeeper. Sometimes it's just impossible to know what the game's going to look like.
Yeah, there's pros and cons to each build, right? And that's kind of what you have to look at, and you have to make the decision. All right, when you're going for a Void Staff, to me, that says Vladimir thinks that he's going to be hitting frontline, right? And that is going to be very effective if you're hitting this Shen with Cowl, you're hitting, you know, Closer who's building towards likely a Locket and stuff. That's great. But, you know, if you're getting straight onto a backline who had no MR, then obviously you don't need that as often. FBI in this case has gone for Hexdrinker third, so it's going to be valuable either way. We'll see how this game does go going forward, because TSM is going to have to challenge every single Dragon from now on. And it does get more complex post 20 minutes because Baron becomes a legitimate threat. You know, when you have Lux here just AoE shielding your whole team, there's not a lot of inherent risk of starting up the Baron. So Golden Guardians can even attempt to look for the threat of trading a Baron for a Dragon and all these sort of complexities, whereas TSM must be at the Dragon Pit every time.
Yes, they must be. And this is interesting because, of course, Hexdrinker has come in, third item for FBI, exactly the item he wants. He wants some magic resist to handle this Vladimir. And the Void Staff is already there for it. He's like, look, I'm expecting Hexdrinker Death Stance from every AD carry in a game with Vladimir, so I'm just going to preempt that, get this item now, and then be ready to go. And so I don't know the exact math on if Death Cap or Void Staff is better per gold against a Hexdrinker. Probably stat sharded Caitlyn, who probably went MR stat shards looking at this game. Is like, I have 2 Assassin Mages and I'm laning against Karma. I should run 8 MR this game.
For sure.
But either way, like it's okay. The build is kind of on pace for what he's kind of dealing with, and as the other items are coming through as well, Banshee's Veil is done for Bjergsen. His Void Staff's not far away, so he's also going to have some good target selection. A lot of Merc Treads for obvious reasons on the Golden Guardians front line, because again, it's a very mage-heavy team comp. And now we're ready to keep going as TSM are pushing in top tier 2.
That is half of Biofrost's health with just a casual poking ultimate there from the Caitlyn.
Yep.
That's the power of all this AD in the build. Doublelift and Bjergsen are cut off, though.
This is a lot of damage. He's going to flash away, trying to stay alive. Fully over the top. Goodbye to Ash. That's a shutdown, and Bjergsen just has absolutely nowhere to go. He's going to walk past the turret, guarantee the kill for good measure. One more turret shot will kill him. He's always dead. A time to run for an objective.
This is so bad for TSM, just poor positioning for them. They got split up, and Bjergsen and Doublelift both go down. Even more might die here. Broken Blade trying to look for a potential flank, but otherwise, this is just Baron going to Golden Guardians, and they may just lose the game right off of this. We'll see if TSM can try to put a stop to this Baron attempt.
And they got to make sure Spica can't get in for the smite. He's going to have flash in about 2 seconds. He has smite right now, and they reveal it. They know what kind of health is that. Okay, 6k health. We've got a little bit of time still. Who he's not hitting, Demonte's not hitting. It's really only 1 carry dealing damage, but they're zoned out, and look how far back Spica is going. No one's going to try to steal, and look at the Drake timer. 45 seconds, instant 5-man recall. Pick your items up, grab elixirs, time to fight for Infernal Soul.
Exactly. I think the Elixirs call is actually really smart here, because this is potentially game-ending damage here when you get the Baron, plus if you can grab this soul as well. So here it is one more time. And TSM just split up. You know, Biofrost is running out of there by himself. Spica is running out one way. Doublelift and Bjergsen tried to go over to the rest of the team, but they get cut off. There's no blast plant there, and I'm not sure that they realized. Maybe on the mini-map, they hadn't seen the blast plant was missing or something, but they should have, because Biofrost went out that way. So honestly, just poor communication between TSM as a squad. If anything, they could have just walked straight up the lane together as a 4-man team, and that pick never would have happened. Instead, Golden Guardians gets them both. They get the Baron, and they are hunting for this soul.
This is the moment. If Golden Guardians get this Drake, it's almost unlosable. 16. They're diving in for Doublelift. They can't quite kill him, but he's at 200 HP. That teamfight's going to be hard. Doesn't have a lot of lifesteal overall in this build. Didn't go Ruin King. He's going to try, knock down some of that bottom wave, get a bit of that there. Broken Blade still playing on the flank. He can be the difference maker.
16,
nice
he has flash. They got to go.
Damage onto Demonte. Here comes the play, and it's going to be claimed. Infernal Soul has been grabbed, and here comes the stun to the front line. Looking to kill FBI. Flash from the wall. Hexdrinker pops. Broken Blade's in there. A flash shield. Who he tries to keep alive, and he frickin' does it. What a team fight there. Golden Guardians get 2 kills, and they get out. FBI refuses to die.
Golden Guardians get everything, not even losing a single member. Huhi with the absolute hero play there, flashing in for the shield after the Hexdrinker had been already popped, and now Golden Guardians marching in here with the Baron, with the Soul. They have taken full control of this game. They're going to get mid lane inhibitor for sure, and Doublelift may just die.
There is no way to live through this one. Golden Guardians poised to close out the first game of this series. TSM made them work for it, but Golden Guardians 4 playoff wins in a row over TSM. This best of 5 puts them 1 away from Worlds as they're going to close down game 1. Still 2 more Nexuses to kill, but Golden Guardians pick up where they left off, destroying TSM on Summoner's Rift.
What an explosive finish here from Golden Guardians. It felt like TSM was really in this game. You know, they had clawed themselves into a pretty good spot, that Vladimir was online, he's 16, everything's kind of going right for you. One misstep with the poor positioning over by that Golden Guardians blue buff. Golden Guardians absolutely punished TSM so hard. They recognized the mistake that Bjergsen and Doublelift and the rest of the team had made, immediately kill them off, secure the Baron. They get another dragon here from FBI, by the way. He got 2 of the 4 dragons for their team on the Caitlyn. They don't even lose anyone, and then they're able to just push it in for the win. That game really turned on a dime, and Golden Guardians have got to be feeling so good about the result of that one.
And even for TSM fans, I I don't think you can be too angry about this one. Obviously, yes, really good steals, some really nice plays by Golden Guardians, but this game was so much closer than the entire last series, right? Biofrost and Doublelift were winning the lane, but there were some good games from closer. The comeback was happening, but wow, what an incredible Drake steal. And okay, Bjergsen and Doublelift screwed up going out of the jungle instead of out of lane, right? Small mistakes could have been fixed, and that feels more TSM favored once that happens. This game, again, is closer. I would not be shocked to see TSM win a couple of games here or, the next 3 that they need. But either way, a fun series, a very tight series, and Golden Guardians still showing up today, which is exciting to see as well. So it's time for us to take a step away. But when we return this day from Analyst Desk, we'll break down that win. See you soon.
Series is going to be a banger.
Yep.
Welcome to Assist of the Day, presented by State Farm. Continuing to show up on our assist watch, Spica delivers Demonte to his death with a quick kick from behind enemy lines.
Here they go!
Keeps Demonte back in. There's the set ulti to get him out there, but Demonte, he's just going to get crushed by Doublelift as the ace in the hole is going to land. He's not dead just yet. In fact, the counter kill comes as Spica's able to get it. And now Haunter, 1v1ing Doublelift. He's in the death realm. He's got no friends to save him from the Maud. And now Haunter going to flash out to safety. Bjergsen.
Duel your way to victory in this 1v1 League of Legends tournament. Many champions will be crowned, but only the best of the best will be a part of All-Star 2020. Learn more on redbull.com/soloq.
Welcome back to the LCS Dome, powered by State Farm. After that first game of the series where Golden Guardians take it, back and forth, both teams definite opportunities to win it with the goal lead in TSM's favor through the mid-game, but Golden Guardians finding the response on multiple occasions. But probably I'm coming to you first around draft. Top of the day, we talked all about Golden Guardians first time around. Targeted bans towards Bjergsen, 12 out of 15 of them were all towards the mid lane. Well, in this first game, they kick it off with 3 mid lane bans.
5.
And then and then even some more when you look at the second phase, but just kind of working through the draft one beat at a time. How did you feel about TSM's response this time around?
Okay. I'm going to say I really like their pick order. Ashe, Graves, 1-2 I think is really strong. They follow the Shin with a Vlad pick, but this is where the kind of style takes a turn. Here, I'm guessing they're going to blind pick mid and give the counter pick to support. I think this is a good style against Golden Guardians. However, as soon as they pick the Vladimir, Graves, and Ashe, you no longer can go range support in this meta, because what you're going to do is you're going to have a low CC comp and a really fragile comp. So I like the blind pick mid laner instead of saving for a counter pick, but the way that they drafted the first 3 picks does not allow them to counter pick support. So if they keep the pick order the same, right, top 3rd pick after them, give me a Gnar or a Mordekaiser, then the Karma last pick looks good. But the way they did it this time, I think the order is correct, but the champions need to change.
So positionally, we like where they landed, but not from a champion perspective.
Yeah. I was also going to throw in that the Morg ban doesn't really make too much sense if you're willing to play Karma anyways, and you're willing to 5th pick your support. Like, you can just pick the Karma into the Morg and leave it up and ban something else out. The Echo is an option if you think you're going for it, but you are telegraphing a little bit. But they do have other options. And to be fair, people hadn't seen the Lux quite yet, so that might have been the wrench in the game plan.
Right. I did not like giving up Caitlyn. I think it's a champion that is really difficult to play against, especially if you are facing a bottom lane that's already bodied you one time before. This just plays entirely into what Golden Guardians wanted to do. And sure, the laning phase was even to a certain extent, but even then, Golden Guardians won the laning phase multiple times, getting kills, getting a ton of bindings onto Biofrost. So I don't want to see this champion get by and into the hands of FBI, despite it being almost killed by how good Broken Blade's Vlad was.
There was action all over the map in this game, but the first of it came in the mid lane. A bit of a whoopsie here from Damonte as he gets caught. Bad timing when he chooses to ward, as well as losing his flash.
Yeah, this is a tough start to the game. I mean, the counter pick Echo can do quite well. Has the flash, but totally waste it. And so this looks like, they might repeat gank mid. There might be all these problems if they don't get this under control. But Closer's like, don't worry, Damonte. TP back in here with that ward you just placed. We'll trade this one back out. And it kind of saves the laning phase for Damonte, I think, a fair amount. The fact that he's able to get the skills, get the buffs, and get back in the lane.
And yeah, it's really important. Like, if Closer doesn't flash stun the Graves, like, Graves is going to get out. So he's going to be able to dash one wall, flash the other. So it was really important that Closer was playing that so aggressively. He's comfortable trading his splash for it. But Closer was amazing this series. Not only did he get the kill in the top, he also did this really good lane gank bot, and it was just set up perfectly by Huni's bind.
Does this look too easy to anyone else? Because to me, it certainly did. And it certainly looked like every single time the Karma just found her way on 2 binds.
Read him like a book, Crumbs.
Yeah, and Bjergsen read that he was dead here too and didn't flash, which was actually a really good move out of him.
He affected every lane.
Yeah, that was a smart flash by, or hold on the flash by Bjerg. If you flash next to your turret, Closer just ults on top of the turret, kills you, and turns your turret off, and there's no change. So smart to hold the flash there, but yeah, Closer completely kept this game in favor of Golden Guardians in the early game because TSM was doing pretty well in lane because I think they had CS advantages in pretty much every lane prior to 15 minutes, and the kills were kept them in.
Exactly, and it's going to take performances like that out of Closer to keep them close in this series up against TSM because not all of the fights went incredibly well for Golden Guardians. There were looks on the side of TSM.
Starts with the Broken Blade flank, and they're scared because there's a big Vlad on the backside, but all game long, Huni was protecting FBI, and then it went wrong here when Hanser goes in for a taunt.
Oh, no.
Oh, God. And then the rest of the team's like, should we follow him? We just saw what he did. Are we supposed to get in here?
Yeah.
Well, their teammate.
Ride or die, baby. Ride or die.
Right?
You know that saying? It's better if everyone follows a bad call than a split call. This is the counter example. This is the counter example of leave your Shen to die in the pit. Don't kill your whole team. But I do appreciate the synergy.
Yeah, without a doubt. But again, I think that we showcased that to show how both teams had opportunities, but also to show the resilience of this Golden Guardians roster because even the next time it looks like Broken Blade is going to get a monster flank on the team. This time they correctly navigate in the mid lane. FBI with some sick mechanics to get out of this one.
We have to remember how good Broken Blade's Vlad was. The first time we really got to see it was in spring of, I believe, last year.
Yep.
And this time around was just like, holy crap, like this is everything you want on your Vlad, and it's just not enough. It's at least good that they have an answer to Shen moving forward, but you're not getting a better flank than that.
Yeah, just the entire Golden Guardians team comp, the way it plays around the Caitlyn with the Shen ult coming on, who he had such great shields the entire game, and FBI himself knowing to just sidestep the Ashe arrow instead of trying to flash it to save his flash for when the flank comes in, like just so well played by the entirety of Golden Guardians. And I think it highlighted some of the issues that they were going to have in this comp was Vlad can dive in, but there's no one who can quite help him, and it felt like they were missing that one extra thing to help him get these kills on the backline because Broken Blade was playing it well.
And you're going to see that once more in the final fight of the game around Dragon Soul. Again, Broken Blade doing everything in his power, of course, to take down to FBI. The fight that comes before it here around Baron.
This was the game-breaking play where Damonte realized TSM actually split up, and they're playing Ashe and Syndra, so they don't have any way to get over the wall except for their own flash. So Damonte does a really good job, calls for the Shin ult, and they're actually able to catch TSM when they actually had control for most of this game. And this was TSM invading the blue side jungle, but after that, it was all Golden Guardians.
Watch the left-hand side. It's exciting to see Damonte go in and back, but the real highlight at the end is actually Broken Blade as he's thinking about going for FBI. Because so much of TSS members are chunked, the Dragon is low. It's like, all right, it's time to get in here. He's got everything charged. The exhaust is real quick, but the ultimate, and then watch Huhi keep his AD alive. It's just a joy to have a support.
Procs the Hex Drinker, gets stunned, but the flash plus the double pass through on the shields there. It's just clean,
Yeah, Huhi deserves a ton of credit for this, and I think it speaks to why this is such a great matchup. Is the bot lane popping off. FBI is a fantastic, aggressive player, and Huhi is so good about propping him up to do that. Whether that's landing the bindings, he landed a bunch in lane to chunk out Biofrost. They didn't get a 2v2 kill, but they had a lot of pressure off the back of Huhi. And then FBI, if you give him some room to work, he'll absolutely pop off.
Yeah, and what's not shown on these stats, but Dash mentioned it, FBI bought that Hex Drinker. I can't tell you how many games we watch a AD carry who's ahead at like 2.5 items and goes full glass cannon and gets one shot, but FBI recognized TSM's win condition is Vlad flank into one-shot AD carry, so he got 2.5 items, super far ahead in Caitlyn. He's like, all right, I don't need the most efficient build. I'm going to build Hex Drinker. He survives that last fight. I'm so excited that this guy bought Hex Drinker instead of
He survived literally by the amount of health that Hex Drinker saves him, so you can definitely call that one out there. You know what else isn't on this, or what other story the stats don't tell? He stole 2 dragons. The man secured 2 dragons.
He's a jungler, too.
Yeah, he's a jungler. Closer has, like, he only got 2, I think. And then FBI gets 2 as well. Like, I mean, Closer has competition for best Drake secure on his team.
The guy is the best AD carry in the league, and he also plays another position at the same time. All right, TSM has chosen red side. No substitutions after that first result, and so we are sticking to the same sides of the map. Crumbs, what are your first thoughts here on adjustments that TSM would make with this first game behind them?
I think the Caitlyn has to go. You really are not wanting to give that back to FBI. And then the other thing is, who's getting the counter pick? I don't want to see Biofrost get the counter pick. It just did not strike me as something that's needed to get enough of an advantage to justify that pick. Let's put more focus on Bjergsen because, yeah, he got picked on a little bit on the Syndra. If he had, I think, a little bit more agency despite being targeted, I think he can pop off. I'm still not seeing anybody else do a whole lot on the squad except Broken Blade on Vlad, but he'll only play that if the Shen is picked by Golden Guardians.
So Mark, let's not pretend that TSM didn't have a gold lead in the middle of this game. So is there anything that Golden Guardians should come away with saying, hey, maybe we consider adjusting this even though we did pick up the victory?
I overall liked their game plan. I think you saw that both teams can make mistakes in the mid-game, and I think as long as they're taking a comp that continues to be able to make plays in that period of time, they'll be in a good spot.
There it is. We're heading to a quick break. When we return, TSM will have their chance to tie up this series. See you back here.
And we've upgraded her with the Sonic Shield and holographic mapping drones.
Impressive. There is one more thing.
Ah, Jake from State Farm.
Here's the deal. With the Drive Safe and Save app, you'll save up to 30% for being a safe driver and get a discount just for signing up.
Well played, Jake from State Farm. As usual.
When you want the real deal, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Mejora o muere en Clenque. ¿Lleváis la cuenta? Acabemos de una vez. Recuento de bajas.
Todos vosotros tenéis una enfermedad, pero aún no lo sabéis. La mortalidad se puede curar. Siempre que nos quebréis, claro. Algunos no podréis evitarlo, pero los que demostréis ser dignos, podré convertiros en algo nuevo, en algo hermoso. Encomendadnos vuestra vida a mí y a Gideon, y juntos os haremos eternos.
Enclenque.
Medicamentos de fe con los condes como eres. Confía en tu amigo Marcus.
Hello and welcome back to the LCS Summer Playoffs. We've got two teams battling here today, TSM and Golden Guardians. Golden Guardians picked up where they left off 2 weeks ago, beating TSM in Game 1. We'll see if they can repeat the 3 out of best of 5 determines who is done for the year and who faces Cloud9 for the last spot at Worlds.
It's going to be a really exciting series, I feel like. After game number 1, very competitive, like kind of 2 different styles around that soul. Golden Guardians looking for the early stacking of those dragons. TSM trying to go for the gold lead and then contest at number 3. But Golden Guardians came up big when it mattered most, securing the 2 contested dragons, catching out TSM when they mispositioned up around that top lane. And as a result, they did take down that game number 1. So we'll find out if there's going to be any sort of changes in pick ban. I don't really think there needs to be, honestly, on either side. I feel like that was a very, very close game. And you know, even if you are on the TSM side, I don't think you're going to look at that game and be like, oh yeah, every time Caitlin's going to secure 2 dragons at 1 You know, it feels like it could be overcome from both points of view.
It's interesting as well to see the run back here. TSM picking red side both times here. They're the higher seed, of course, coming into game 1, so they get side selection, and then the loser of any given game gets side selection in the next. TSM still wants to go red side. They still want counter pick. This time they have changed things around by banning away the Shen. Trying to give Hanser a champion they can't just ignore up on that side of the map. Wanting to play around bot lane maybe a bit more. Now that Shen ult is not available, but otherwise the exact same draft for the first 3 picks so far.
I'm going to be interested also to see if they drop the Morgana ban. I like the point on the analyst stats talking about if you're going to go for a Karma last pick, you actually don't need to ban Morgana out. Morgana is going to be easier likely to deal with for that Karma and Ashe than the Lux actually was. So I think that could make a lot of sense. There also is the ability to perhaps get away the Echo if you're concerned about that, but Golden Guardians is going to take us in a different direction. It would be TF here. So now I'm curious, will TSM lock in their mid laner here instead of going for a top laner as they did last time around to try to avoid more potential bans getting thrown towards Bjergsen?
All right, it was Volibear last time. This time it's going to be Lee Sin as the jungle pickup there. Closer thought about it over in game 1, but with the option up to revisit his jungle champion, says no, going over here. So mid-jungle, a new look.
Yep, so TF was banned out in round 2 last time. This time it's going to be picked up. Lilia was the ban that was dropped off by TSM for the Shen, but that wasn't actually selected. Very interesting. So they're still just going to allow Bjergsen to tank even more bans, and this does feel pretty intentional for the side of TSM. You know, you grab the Ornn here for Broken Blade. You could then ban out some of the top laners that you're worried about contesting that Ornn from Hanser, and then you have Bjergsen, who's probably going to tank up more bans and have to be picking here, you know, in what will be a more difficult situation.
This is, of course, TSM saying, okay, yes, we're going to play a range support in the bot lane. Yep, there's the Lux ban. A great choice, absolutely, by TSM. Good of them to do so. And says, okay, yes, here is our Ornn top lane. Here is our engaged tank. We're going to once again kind of pick bot lane. It's pretty likely to be a Karma down there, and if it's something else, it's fine. We'll figure out the matchup. But we have hard engage. We have front line. We can play a default team fight and just get damage output from Spica, Bjergsen, and Devil.
So one thing I do think TSM has to consider are they willing to blind pick the Karma now, though, right? Because if you actually try to save the Karma for 5th pick, Golden Guardians can just take it away, and then TSM will have to have an additional answer, you know, beyond Morgana, because they can't just take the Morgana and self-counter pick themselves now. So that is something that does have to change potentially, is actually pick order there. So they're going to ban out the Morgana too. So I do think that they are going to blind the Karma 4th then, and hope that Golden Guardians has no more answers as far as the support pool goes. I do think there are additional answers. I think there's other great matchups. The Karma, things like Nami. Like, if you go Nami Caitlyn, I actually think he'll slam that lane, but I'm not sure that he will be willing to play it. We haven't really been seeing it come out. I also think that potentially the fact that TSM didn't ban out any top laners and blind their Ornn, that is somewhat punishable. Hanser is a guy who's actually very flexible up in the top lane. He has shown the Kayle before. That is very popular. GP is also an option if they want to look to play towards that bottom lane, utilize TF ultimate as well as GP ult to really focus on TSM bot lane again. So there are some vulnerabilities to this TSM draft. And they're actually, wow. So if you save the Karma for last, I feel like Golden Guardians is for sure going to take it themselves, but I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, have to wait and see. Right now, Pantheon is the hover, which will be exciting if it comes through, but I don't think play a tank and feel a lot better as like a Leona or something down there.
Yeah.
So we'll just kind of ignore the whole thing, but waiting for time to tick down. Golden Guardians is the top laner to answer Broken Blade's Ornn. Ornn support's really not a thing anymore. We saw it in weeks past, but that one's kind of gone. Mordekaiser going to be there to scrap up the top side. The ulti can make Ornn ult not do a whole lot of anything, and by the way, also absolutely loves death roaming and enchanter support. Just like, you have a Nami or a Karma or something. Let me take your ability power, and then just you're always dead. So, you know, good team fight selections there, but it is going to force Golden Guardians to blind their support pick. It was Lux last time. That is banned away. Morgana's a common blind. That's banned away as well. So Bard is the pick here for Hootie.
So it is very interesting, because I would have assumed Karma would be the go-to, and that made me wonder, like, did TSM have the answer to that? Thresh, I think, is fine in this Bard once you play, you know, more aggressively, potentially for the kills. You obviously have Lantern for that defensive utility. It is less about the poke and the actual straight-up laning on push here, but you can actually have all-ins against, you know, Bard and Caitlyn. So TSM have navigated themselves into a pretty good angle here to pick Thresh. You know, in their previous series, the only times they had Thresh, it was into a Tahm Kench and Morgana, which really is not kind of how you want to play it. So I think TSM are pretty happy with this. They've added some additional engage. They were perhaps concerned with the few ways they had to actually start fights last time. Not only do they have the Ashe Arrow this time, they have Thresh hooks, they have ON Ultimate. That is going to be pretty powerful. One of the concerns I have for them is if they want to play that same style where you're giving up the first 2 dragons and looking to scale towards the third, which I feel like they might be doing with this style of composition, you have to remember that the other team has Mordekaiser and can eliminate the possibility of a 50-50 sequence. We have seen Hanzo be so on point with this, where you show up to that third dragon, you're like, all right, we're ready to fight. And then your jungler just gets Mordekaiser ulted, and they take the dragon for free, and then you're like, oh, okay. I forgot about that. So we'll see how they want to do it, because it does feel like with Orianna Ornn, you want to sit back and scale a bit, and Golden Guardians may be more ready to scrap for those early dragons.
It's going to be a fun game to watch, absolutely. I'm still going to look at bottom lane a whole lot. There can be some gank assist up top side. This is not Shen versus Vlad, where Vlad's permanently at full health and doesn't have gank assist, so he can't get a gank on his side either. It's going to be spicy in every single lane here. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch TF versus Orianna. The globals run around the map. The Ornn engages, and we'll see what the bot lane looks like here, as well as we're getting into game 2, as Golden Guardians are up 1-0 in this best of 5. And as I look at bot lane a little bit, I do want to point out that TSM does not need hard counterpick every single time to win this. Across the 12 regular season games that Doublelift and Biofrost played, Doublelift had the best overall gold and XP difference at 10 of all starting AD carries, meaning he overall had very, very, very strong lanes with Biofrost across the first 12. And so I want to see if they can hold that one up, because in playoffs, FBI and Hubi have been absolutely taking names down there.
They've been crushing it, but last game, to the credit of TSM, I do think that they were winning the 2v2 straight up. Closer had some great ganks, and they capitalized well on that. You know, it wasn't like they were getting crushed by any means before that. It was fairly even, but clearly TSM's bottom lane performing better than the last time around. Part of that is due to the picks, part of that perhaps due to the play. We'll have to see if they can keep that level up going into this one. Is cleansed this time around from FBI, so he's paying that tax because it's not only the Ashe, but it's also the Thresh this time. So I do think it makes sense. There is also less straight up kind of big frontliners ahead of him, so you don't have the Shen and the Baldur standing up there to tank arrows for you come team fight time, so it's more likely that you would take the cleanse in this situation.
Nice sweeper to go to the ward as the wave pushes in. Golden Guardians will let the other one down on that rush timeout, as that was the early place of the recalls into sweeper. The early push goes in, as Bard is a better early fighter than Thresh. The skill shot's a lot more reliable than Thresh, and even Flay, which he actually learned. Shorter range tools. So the first push goes through, TSM respectfully backs off, and right now Doublelift is on perfect CS, whereas only 10 of 12 for FBI, so we'll see how much more the Ashe can get here, as Hawkshot reveals that Closer did 3 camps with blue buffs. They know which 3 camps are gone. Hawkshot also reveals the 3 camp markers. They know exactly what Lee's been doing so far.
Exactly, you're going to have full information there, so that always feels really, really nice as the opposing jungler to know where he is, where he could be. They have that push on the bottom side, so you are kind of assuming that Golden Guardians is going to challenge for that bottom side scuttle, and then it's going to be up to Spica to say, okay, do I want to try to answer this? Do I want to at least get a ward down here to protect? He is moving over here. Biofrost has hook,
showing
remember.
the junglers around. Stun's going to land on Ashe. Hook's going to land. Cleansed back away. Now Spica's got to run backwards, gets slowed, but no more stuns to be had. Good first time by FBI, or sorry, by Huhi, but end of the day, cleansed down for the gank is well played by TSM.
It is very well played, and we'll see if they can follow up on this. They're trying to push it out right now. Spica maybe face-checking this Lee Sin, though, and we'll see if Huhi can get the bind.
Gets the slow, gets the Q, is going to ward hop away. The flash Q, that was some miscoordination. I think Huhi thought there was more of a fight to be had, but there was not one.
There wasn't, but if he could have found that angle, potentially you can trap off of it and maybe follow up there. Either way, he's not able to find the binding. So in the long run, TSM can't reset the wave, but they got 2 summoners, big summoners. They got the cleanse and the flash, so that is going to be feeling really, really nice. Good trade up here on that top side from Broken Blade, and we'll see if TSM can utilize this little skirmish advantage that they have gotten to try to get something more.
So far, so good. Broken Blade up 8 CS with a wave to farm, so that should pretty close to equalize on this side of the map. Very small gold lead to Golden Guardian. Some of that is fraudulent, with Twisted Fate passages generating 3 gold. That's reflected in the scoreboard, despite the fact that he's playing the lane pretty much equal to Bjergsen here, with this wave going to be fairly easily cleaned up. We're going to see our first recall before too terribly long. As we can see more items being forged by Broken Blade. He's just stacking the early MR, knows he's obviously facing Mordekaiser. Wants to get this mask online, so he doesn't have to worry about that fight too much. And Spica keeps moving around his side of the jungle, taking down the chickens.
Yep, and he saw that ward getting placed. That's always a little bit of a feels bad man for Diamante, because right as you place it, it does get cleared out. And for me personally, anytime I'm in that type of situation, I'm always feeling really nervous. It's like, oh, he knows that I know he's there, so is he going to gank me or not gank me because he thinks I'm expecting it, you know? Right, feel, like a little bit of that mind game, but Closer was passing up, so he felt comfortable to stay around and farm it up. Wasn't worried about the Graves gank coming in, and of course, Graves Orianna, not exactly incredible gank assistance there. Yep. So it's going to be safe, and looks like Bjergsen will try to shove out one more wave and then reset, while Diamante just is going to wait in base and blow his TP here.
Boom getting knocked off, follow-up auto attack. Bit of damage with Biofrost, but he's regenning decently well overall. Gold is tied across these teams. 80 carries to the same amount of farm. This is the wave you want to recall off of. You can see Biofrost already starting his. Devil should have no problem having BF Sword with 45 CS. That's more than enough to make the one come through, so pretty standard stuff out of the TSM bot lane. Now some looks towards the top side as Broken Blade tries to find some CC on Hanser. Hanser walks away, and we can see who's doing well in gold overall. Yeah, pretty close across every role, under 100 across in any individual matchup. Top lane in a weird spot. It's overextending, forcing Hanser to walk up to do this. He was going to want to back before he terribly want either.
Yep, but with him being 6 on that wave, that's why they look for that gank. And I know the gank looks kind of awkward. It's like, well, it's pretty low chance to work. But that's really your last chance to actually gank Mordekaiser, so they're trying to see if they can happen.
Easy Q, easy gold card, a lot of CC. The flash puts him back in the turret range. You got to be careful. Hooked right back in. Good damage, but Bjergsen, I don't think he could move the Q in time to get the shockwaves, so Closer gets right back out.
Yeah, the gold card actually expired because they waited so long there. So Diamante popped it very early, and I think had he not done that, I think they kill Thresh. Because they could have had the the binding into the gold card. Instead, they just had the binding. It expired. He was able to flash out. But yeah, Bjergsen not able to get the ball over in time and get that shockwave down was a little bit late. I think he was trying to go for the deliberate timing of pulling the Lee Sin out of the portal, perhaps. But either way, not going to be able to get the kill there. So it is just a couple summoners off of Biofrost.
And now we can see a small gold lead on the Golden Guardian side as recalls come through. Dragon being started in the face of Spica, but as somehow the wave was manicured in Golden Guardian's favor, Double H is forced to be under the turret, losing your BF Sword to 80 carry as the mid lane is coming back to lane, means it's not too much of a problem. And the early Cloud Drake will go over. 10% ulti CDR, gonna feel real great picked up before Diamante has to press R the first time.
Yep, both for Diamante as well as for Hanser. I think that's actually pretty impactful. I would also say, it's kind of illustrates how important that previous play was. Biofrost getting caught there actually forced him to be on a reset. He couldn't just stay out on the map when he was that low. So that means that Doublelift has to cede control over the wave, and Doublelift has to allow FBI and Huhi to push them in. And that is exactly why he's under the turret when they can start up that dragon. So, even though they didn't get the kill on Biofrost, the chain of events after it actually led them to getting the first dragon, which is really, really nice for Golden Guardians. They're going to be able to start off on the right foot here once again in Game 2.
All right, so blue buff being attacked here. Speaking of feel comfortable to knock this one down without any issues. Bjergsen said, yeah, this guy is low. I think he's recalling away. In fact, he's doing that. So Diamante, not on the map right now. Smite to guarantee in case someone was in the brush. Speaking of blue buff steal, which is pretty solid. Meanwhile, his bottom jungle is completely safe. Couple defensive control wards from TSM. You can see one near mid lane, one in front of the blue. Means that jungle, that side of the jungle really entirely is safe right here. He goes to move around in his red, and Closer goes, this is the second time I've lost part of my jungle with you. Can you stop this?
It's the Graves way. And so far, it's been kind of 2 games where Spica has been playing this Graves, and he's actually been getting CS advantages, but it has been Closer investing his time and actually helping out the lanes. And Broken Blade's taking a lot of damage, so Hanser is actually just going to commit the ulti.
Ulti used to take the fight, does get knocked up. The rest of the squad's coming in pretty soon. Flashes away from the knock-up as Diamante now shows up. Now Bjergsen here as well. Shotgun's not going to be committed for that one. Didn't want to burn it as the guy was too healthy, but it will force recalls away.
Yeah, so overall, I still think TSM come out ahead there because they got, both the ultimate and the TP actually off Diamante, or was that a spellbook that swapped over to TP?
Yeah, I think it's spellbook.
Okay, so it was just the ultimate then. But either way, still going to be pretty happy about that, and that's why Bjergsen was actually holding his teleport, not TPing back to lane. Was trying to make sure that he could respond to a play like that. So both sides ended up trading pretty even. Golden Guardians will come out ahead with the Rift Herald here, though.
Yeah.
Doublelift was able to push in bottom lane and have that wave pushing back towards him. So a little bit of a CS advantage there. But Golden Guardians actually move their bottom lane over to mid. They're going to send Damonte now down towards that bottom lane. And we'll see if Bjergsen can get anything done in the mid lane, because he will have the blue buff advantage and should be able to hold pretty comfortably with blue buff, I think, against this jungle lane.
A lot of ward control right now on the bottom. Jungle by TSM, an aggressive control ward, a regular invisible one down there as well by the red buff. Going to give a lot of vision down there as the lane swap around. Bjergsen going to try to 1v2 against Huhin FBI. Says, all right, Doublelift and Bauerfrost, you had your turn. Let me do it. He's the fan vote MVP from Twitter. Closer going to smite this red, but again, he's dancing around some wards right now. TSM nearby. And Closer gets the Sixth Sense to just hide away from that one. That would have been certain death if he walked into a hook there.
Yeah, if it was a split second earlier, they could have potentially even smoted away and then got a kill. So I really do like the deep vision. I think it's extra important when you're playing against champions like TF to have deep vision to be able to track where they are going, because it's not as though he's level 16 at this point and can just ult super, super far. The rank 1 ultimate has relatively limited range. You have to move about halfway up the map. So if Damonte goes missing from bottom lane, you will likely see him around that red buff before he could ult towards mid lane and actually attack Bjergsen. So this allows them to play a little bit less defensive anytime he just goes into fog, because you have wards tracking where he needs to be.
Yeah, if he's actually making the trip all the way over it there. Cannon going to be knocked down, I believe, not by Damonte himself. I think the turret last hit that one. Still a very small lead. Yeah, you missed the cannon. It's just unwinnable game at that point. I mean, why even bother playing it out? TSM, congratulations, you made it to Worlds. Cloud9, yeah, you're not going to get to play this one out either. It's just how it is. So when the recall comes through for Biofrost, he's moving around. We have the Mountain Drake spawning in 1 minute's time. I'm curious what it's going to look like, as the mid lane push hasn't amounted to much turret pressure. The Rift Herald will be coming down pretty soon, you have to imagine. It's been in inventory for 2 minutes so far. Closer finishes Warrior Enchant, same here for Spica. No boots for either jungler. Abyssal Mask close for Broken Blade, and another recall going to come through for Bjergsen. Now, only 40 seconds on Drake. He'll be there in time, but he can't really fight for the ward control. So if Golden Guardians takes the bottom river, it's going to be vision deficit for TSM. A bot pushed in, easy farm for Doublelift. As Archangels is, of course, a very worthy power spike and one worth recalling for. He breaks up at 25.
Yeah, and I honestly think that TSM should be pretty happy about how the early stages have gone. The gold is very even. There's no kills on either side, and I talked about how the Ornn and the Orianna want time to scale. They want to be able to sit back and play a bit of a slower pace. Even though they did give up the first dragon, it wasn't like instantly on spawn, and they have the ability potentially to contest at the second dragon to really slow down that snowball towards the soul. If they could get one dragon here, that would buy themselves so much time before any potential soul could come through. And then at that point, TSM can give up a dragon or two and make sure that they're really in the right spot to fight.
All right, Golden Guardian is eyeing the bottom lane right now. Close to showing up in the lane. This looks like it's going to be a Herald summon, potentially, and some real turret damage.
I would like that.
Of course, can move around. There's the first plate knocked off. Herald always means 2 and never quite 3 plates by itself, at least in the early game.
Yeah.
And timer is ticking down. We're down about 30 seconds left from the Herald, so you've got to summon it pretty much on this wave. You're not summoning it for anything useful at all. At some point, you got to get the crash.
He should just drop it, and then TSM either don't respond to it and lose their tower, or they do respond to it and they lose the dragon, but TSM's just going to rush this down. It will be a steal.
Shockwave, it's not going to be the smite in time. Well done to Bjergsen. He might have been in range, but it was a better smite by Spica. There's the charge. There's 2 plates, 300 gold going over to close. But end of the day, all it got were those 2 plates. TSM secure the Drake. Well played to them. Even as Haunter TP's down, he gets nothing for it.
It felt like Golden Guardians were a little bit hesitant on committing the Rift Herald. I feel like if they did that the previous wave, it would have drawn more attention from TSM, and then they could have been the ones perhaps rushing down that dragon, getting the inside track. But Spica does secure this one for TSM, so they have bought themselves a ton of time now before any potential soul could come through, and that's exactly the situation that they want to be in. Bjergsen deserving of a lot of credit there, though. It looked like you pulled Closer out of his Q with the Shockwave, so even if you're still in range to smite, you lose the execute damage from that Lee Sin Q if it does not connect. It actually has to arrive at the target, so that makes it so much easier for Spica to actually land the smite there.
Well done, and it's going to be TSM feeling pretty comfortable now as they've split the Drakes pretty equally. Ulti used by Haunter because he's got teammates coming around as well. Broken Blade can't sidestep much. Here comes the rest of the damage as Closer's waiting around in the wings. There's the slow. There is absolutely no way out. A late first blood at 1350 and change. Closer gets forward to gold in his pockets.
Well done. They sent 4 top last time they wanted to look for this. They did it again here, but they only needed 2. Damonte showing up pretty much unneeded, and Huhi made the roam, not able to get much done there himself. But let's watch this one more time. Pretty simple. I mean, this is a full HP Ornn, but he knows with the assistance coming through, he just has to keep him in place. The TF ultimate was committed, Broken Blade getting very low, and I think that TSM at this point, as soon as they saw the TF ult, you can see that Speak is just farming Krogs. Like, there's actually no point in going over there because you can't get multiple members to be able to fight back. So you just give it up. You say, all right, well, we got the TF ult. We got multiple things. It's okay if our Ornn just dies once. And honestly, with the kill going over to Lee Sin, you're not too bothered as TSM.
Yeah, overall solid stuff. Damonte not even getting the assist onto that one, so you can see a little shockwave there on a Haunter. He has ult down for the time. Bjergsen not quite stunned, couldn't get the rest of the AoE. Ult going to be dodged away as well. A little bit too far back on that one. Couldn't have really flashed over it anyway, but no real play to be had. A couple of ultis traded out and nothing else picked up here, but an 1,800 gold lead to Golden Guardians, and only about 200 of that is Damonte with his passive. So overall earning more gold as a team and having a pretty solid mid game here as Golden Guardians.
They definitely are, but the scaling is really good over on the side of TSM, and as those Ornn items do come unlocked, that is always a concern. Was a critical sidestep also from Bjergsen on that Huhi ultimate, because if the Bard ult does connect over onto Bjergsen, it's a pretty easy setup for Closer to just kick him in immediately thereafter and get that kill. So he's able to stay alive, and Golden Guardians, I think, doing okay, but given the state of the game and the compositions, I actually favor TSM from this game state.
Wards at work. Spica takes the entire chicken camp and puts Closer down to half HP, and is an easy lantern away. Biofrost well done from you. As the top laners are now fighting, as Damonte moves up to that side of the map, says, I'll have my turn fighting Broken Blade. Difficulty being, he's got a magic damage top laner, so Broken Blade already went Abyssal Mask. He is all magic resist, no armor. That's still going to hurt Damonte. Huhi tries to fight over this one. Speak is here as well, but this time around can't steal it. So top lane, or top river Scuttle Crab goes to Golden Guardians.
So I'm actually really curious now when and if members on TSM are going to start picking up QSS, right? Because that was such a big point of discussion in the previous series when, you know, Doublelift on his Caitlyn game against the Mordekaiser, he's on 2 items, he goes for the Zeal instead of the QSS, and he gets soloed out in a critical fight against Haunter, and there was a lot of criticism towards Doublelift, both for how he played that fight, but also, you know, for not having QSS. And Spica in this, it's going to be critical if they're playing around dragons for him to be able to QSS out of the Mord ultimate to be able to smite those dragons. So interested to see, you know, does he go for it after 2 items? 1v1 here from Haunter and Bjergsen.
And Bjergsen dodges every single skill shot so far. Haunter's landed the ulti and nothing else. That one's point and click. 0 way to live. Beautiful out of Bjergsen, and now the re-engage could be just as good. No way out for Damonte. Even gets the casual extra stun onto Huhi. TSM taking control on the bottom side and just ties up the gold +4 as his turret will fall.
Bjergsen with the outplay there, utilizing the phase rush perfectly to just dodge everything Haunter could do, taking down his former teammate. They get the tower, they get the kill. Bjergsen just played this really, really well here. Haunter has no MR, of course, at this point. He lands the QW right on the edge of it. Phase rushes proc, the ultimate comes through, dodges the E, dodges the Q. At that point, as Haunter, you basically know you're dead. You're just hoping that your team is going to win the fight thereafter. But Biofrost was here faster. The hook for Damonte gets him nowhere. Straight into the flash. Broken Blade was there as well, so Golden Guardians had no hope, and now it's Doublelift on FBI.
FBI saving the cleanse for later in the game, as he's healthy enough to be fine on that one. Who he grabs a bit of hot chocolate and looks around the top side of the map. But TSM have turned the corner. Looks like this team is ready to keep the fight going, but they are missing most engage ults. Only Shockwave is up. Otherwise, they can't pick a fight too easily, but with numbers and health lead, they're going to go for both sides of the map right now. Spica soloing the Ocean Drake. The rest of the squad stopping the attempt at Rift Herald, and TSM looking good in game 2.
They really are. And off of that previous play, because there's no TF ultimate, no Mordekaiser ultimate, Golden Guardians simply don't feel comfortable to actually take a fight at the Dragon. You know, it would feel too risky for them at that point. So they tried to make it a trade for Rift, but as you say, TSM dissuade them. They're soloing up the Dragon at the same time. They do get the bottom lane turret, and it actually looks like they're going to get mid lane here too. So Golden Guardians will get a very good injection of gold. But it is TSM working towards that Ocean Soul. They're the first onto 2 dragons. Oh, nice catch here.
This is big. 2 ultis. Here comes an attempted stun, but Biofrost burns the stopwatch, so Doublelift is not stunned. There is no target to turn it into. Allows the squad to get away. It's a turret and nothing else.
Yeah, that was actually a critical stopwatch there. You know, Speak able to flash out after he went into that stopwatch. So still, Golden Guardians do get 2 towers. You're going to be feeling pretty darn good about that, but TSM escape with their lives, because that was looking like it was going to be 2 kills, and that was a really high-value stopwatch, which bought the rest of TSM time to get in there and defend their jungler and support.
Yeah, cannot emphasize enough that stopwatch saved Spica's life. He flashed away.
So Rolex.
I'm pretty sure who he timed the Q correctly to get a double stun if that was going to happen. I mean, obviously you've got TF behind him as well, and instead nothing happens there. The turret, of course, is nice. It means the gold lead is back to a 1,000 lead for Golden Guardians overall. And now we'll see what happens next, because it had felt like TSM was overall winning around the map, except when they could get the really good TF ultimates in. 3 minutes on the Drake, still to go.
And that's going to be something TSM will have to be careful about the entire game through, right? You really have got to make sure that you're not in an easy-to-kill position. You know, if you're 1v1ing against Mordekaiser can ult you to buy time for the TF to come through, and then, you know, even if you're doing okay in the 1v1, TF shows up, you get killed off. So that's always going to be a threat throughout the entire game. But the gold lead is really not an issue at all. You know, Bjergsen is obviously, you know, working towards his second item. Broken Blade just hit 13, so he's got the double upgraded Ornn items now, which is a lot of extra gold there. TF gold is kind of lying to you as well. Broken Blade just looking like he wants to push this in.
Yeah, he went in as Spica came around, but then Closer showed up as well. Broken Blade getting some decent damage. Here's a bit of a trade of fights. And Hanser, low enough on health, doesn't really want to ult if he doesn't have to, but there's going to go for the flash of the kickback. Broken Blade flashed away here as well. So Closer, if he ever wants to R-flash, could do so. Doesn't go for the play. Just the board hop is enough. But now a re-engage towards Biofries. This time they're going to land everything they could want. A single auto finally knocks him down. If you land the ult, you land the Caitlyn trap, and you are dead from there.
Really nicely done. Good catch on the rotation there from Golden Guardians, but good ult.
That is a setup for a double shockwave, and that is who he forced to flash away. Not something he wanted out of that one. Ulti's down, but it doesn't matter. Mid-turn's going to fall.
Okay, TSM battling back, you know, do force out the flash. They take the tower, so tower for a support. TSM going to be pretty happy about that. Skill with the Raptors as well. But I have to question Broken Blade playing that so aggressively. It didn't feel like I get it if like the Wade's like hard frozen or something, but it was not that case whatsoever, and he just kind of committed the ultimate, you know, forgetting about the fact that TF could actually respond, so they had to go fully in retreat, and honestly it's that play that gets Biofrost killed in rotation, because he's trying to get up there to defend his jungler and top laner, so you've got to play with patience, even if you can win the 2v2, if you do not see that the TF is specifically out of range on the other side of the map, it's not a 2v2, because the TF is always going to show up for those types of fights.
Now, interesting point here. We talked about Ornn power spikes a lot. Speaking of Broken Blade, he's got his first two items online, right? Abyssal Mask, Gunfire Arcade, great. No one on TSM has an Ornn item yet. QSS comes through for Spica, love it. Totally great item right here. But Arcangel doesn't upgrade, Vance doesn't upgrade, S3 on Hurricane don't upgrade. The Zeke's Rush for Thresh is a great item, but also doesn't upgrade. So he's going to sit there for a while, waiting for a Black Cleaver or a third item IE. And that means no QSS for double if that's the case, you know, or Death Cap, which is maybe third in for Bjergsen.
I hear you, and I think that it's pretty defensible, though, in this situation.
Oh, totally.
It is something that makes sense to talk about, as Hanser, you know, he doesn't want to ult now because he knows he's going to get chased down and killed after it, but he has to use that ult potentially defensively, but QSS is there, so he is just going to be probably gone.
Definitely in a 1v3. Thresh shows up here as well. Of course, he instant QSS to knock that one down. So it's just a trade of cooldowns. And at the end of the day, it is mid lane pressure. Golden Guardians know they are roughly 3v2 in this side of the map. Arrow's going to land. Here comes the cleanse away, trying to get the damage. Dodges the Q. Spica's in to block the rest of that one. How about the rest of the knockup? So ult comes across. They finally get the snipe. FPS can run out of health though. Spica needs one more auto attack. He can't reload in time. It's not an automatic shotgun. It's got two barrels, but now Bjergsen right behind him. Look for this one as well. That's going to be an easy cleanup. 2 kills picked up, but 2 traded back.
Very aggressive play there. FBI trying to go for the punish. He is able to pull it off and kill off Double, but you kind of have to question if it's really worth it, because they committed a lot. They committed 3 summoners to get that 2-for-2 kills. They don't end up getting the tower, but they are creating some space for Demonte up on this top side, and we'll see what he can get done with it. But yeah, I mean, I really do like the discussion about the Ornn items here. Another free dragon, though, giving over to TSM. I feel like if you give Ocean Soul to this sort of team, like, pretty much just losing, because you're not going to one-shot the Ornn. Here it is one more time. Broken Blade with the initial really strong trade, and because he has the QSS, he can go very aggressively for this now, knowing that even if he gets ulted, Bjergsen is going to be behind him. Quick QSS is popped as soon as that comes through. Haunts are flashing away, but of course Biofrost was there to corral him. But Yeah, I mean, it's always an interesting discussion because it's like, in this case, what would Bjergsen have gotten earlier to actually get it, right? He feels he needs some defensive itemization, so, it's defensible to go for the Banshees. Here again is this play, trying to go very aggressive. They do trade the kill over onto Double Lift, and FBI playing this out really, really well, kiting just out of range, and the reload, as you called out, not there in time for the Graves, but Bjergsen does clean it up and grab the double buffs for himself, so TSM not going to be too concerned about that overall. And I assume that we're going to have probably QSS on double lift, and he'll work towards IE. Probably depth cap and these types of items will come through next, and then we'll start to see those orange items come through. But to your point, it's going to be a long time before they actually get that additional value, because he's already level 15 and there's nothing even in sight. None of the components are even there for items that he can upgrade.
He's the No Magic Mantle in for double lift. That is the push towards QSS. I would be shocked if it was Hex Drinker or a Death Stance, though theoretically it is possible. We'll wait to see what comes through.
It's a stone plate.
Yeah, I doubt that highly. Abyssal Mask. Abyssal Mask, I think that's another option there. Wit's End, he's got Hurricane. There's synergy there. All theoretically options, though they are unlikely, as mid lane is being cleared back and forth. It is an 1,800 gold lead to Golden Guardians. They do have more cash money overall, and again, it is not because of TF passive. He's actually down in gold against Bjergsen. The other members are ahead, Closer and FBI, the primary ones. FBI actually 1,700 gold up, but has a lower DPS build. It's lower spell damage, it's lower auto attack DPS. It gets him that one auto if he needs to play very far back and hide from Orianna or hide from Ashe, but you will never kill Ornn because you have one extra auto attack. That is still not a team fight build. It is a poke out a turret build, which can make sense in a split push combo. As TSM knocked on the mid lane, no one is here to defend. Tier 2 is gone, and TSM tries the turret score.
The other thing to take note of is the fact that FBI has been getting a lot of solo experience. He is playing fun, so he's less worried about getting picked off. He's level 14, right? He is very high level on this Caitlyn, so he is working towards that big third item, whether it's going to be a strong Razor, we will find out. Then at that point, he's going to be very well online with all the additional AD. TSM, though, pushing up here. Remember, they are the ones at soul points. The fact that Golden Guardians hasn't had the confidence to fight at any of the last couple dragons does not bode very well for them. Because TSM is going to be at this dragon, and Golden Guardians either give up soul for free, and then they're trying to play some sort of wild game where they never interact with TSM ever again, or they have to take the fight and find the correct angle. Because, TF, the power in your ultimate is very much about finding mismatched fights, right? It's not necessarily about the straight-up combat power. It's more about, oh, you're in a 7-1-1, now it's a 2-1. Whereas, Orianna is just built differently, right? And Bjergsen has the components of that death cap, possibly could get towards the death cap completion before this next dragon comes through if they give him some of the jungle camps and funnel him some of this farm. That would be massive, not only because he would get the huge power spike from the completion, but it would be immediately upgraded by the Ornn. So Bjergsen would be absurdly strong. I also don't know how close he is to 16, but if he could get there also, Orianna Shockwave on really any of the carries would probably seal that fight.
Yeah, these guys are not tanky at all. There's a Rod of Ages for health, and that is it. Mikhail's not going to do a whole lot for you overall. I'm curious what the fight looks like if Haunter can get his ulti off fully on someone. We already saw Bjergsen solo kill the guy last time, but at least you can lock out Thresh for a bit. Thresh actually gets a lot of AP for his passive, so there's at least stats to poach there.
But do you win that 4v4? That's the problem.
Not with Ornn.
Exactly. Like there's 3 QSSs, and there's a Banshee's Veil on Bjergsen, and he's going to be pretty far back. So it's, generally speaking, it should be hard for him to get in range, and he wins. So it's like, okay, who cares about the ulti anymore? TSM has itemized effectively against it. Yes, they paid that price. So, that's not a BF sword in double lift inventory. He's going to do less damage, but it really does reduce your options. And it also has the added value of you're playing against a TF and you're playing against a Bard. So if you get Bard Stun, you get gold carded. If you even accidentally step on a trap or whatever, you can remove that. With the trap interaction, I do believe that you still get that free headshot as Caitlyn. Yeah. Even if you get out of that trap. But, there's going to be something you can QSS in a fight to the death. Very, very likely.
And now Bifrost has one. He's joined the roster. He's got more stuff. So now Haunter is in another 1v2. Flashes going for the knockup. Bjergsen runs at 9,000 miles an hour, knocks off the Banshee's Veil, and now slowly walks at him and can't do nearly enough damage. Just for good measure, pops the Seraph's shield. These fights are absolutely not close. So Golden Guardians are going for broke. They're trying to rush down this Baron as fast as possible. Spica is nearby. Guard hits. They can run this one down. They can burst it down. They can grab the pickup. They grab the Smite, but how about the rest of this fight? How about the rest of the crowd control? Is there a battle to be had in the 5v4? QSS popped to get away from the gold card stun. 1 kill for a Baron is nice, but guess what? Ocean Drake is alive.
Exactly, Bjergsen is doing it. So that's 3 uncontested dragons in a row. Bjergsen didn't even commit the ultimate to actually winning that 1v1 against Haunter. He did get the death cap before coming in, so Bjergsen is absurdly strong. And now Ornn is well and truly unkillable. Ornn with this amount of items, plus the Ocean Soul, I just don't see how you're going to be able to kill him in any sort of a reasonable fight if it's a 5v5, with the shielding and the protection from the rest of the team and the threat the other members do put in. So yes, there is this kind of brief moment of power where you have the Baron buff on 4 members. That's great for Golden Guardians, but I actually think that TSM make the intelligent call to just take Soul, not fully commit to that 4v4, because Bjergsen committed his TP to the bot side, and just say, all right, we sit back, we wait out this Baron buff, and then we go on the offensive. Their Baron buff is gone, and we have Ocean Soul forever.
Yep. So it's really up to Golden Guardians to use the injection of gold and the injection of experience from killing Baron to say, look, we are more powerful right now. This is our time to do something with this, with the Red Bull Baron, to push in and find themselves some kind of a lead and say, look, you can still boil down Ocean Soul to stats. It is some amount of health over the course of a team fight. That is a number that you can quantify to a certain degree and say, okay, if we're up 4,000 gold, 5,000 gold, we're roughly as strong as Ocean Soul, compositions notwithstanding, obviously relevant here as well. But they've got to get to that point. They have to make that happen and retain that gold lead, or it's not going to matter anymore.
Oh.
Great Bard ulti is going to stop the first engage, but is there a fight they can have? Spica healing up on the minion wave, right? The Ocean Soul doing some dividends, getting the health bar up, but hey, they are forcing them back. They are dealing enough damage to say, okay, you might regen, but your health bars are low right now. Mid lane tier 2 is gone. Let's keep going. Bear buff is on for another solid minute. Demonte pushes in top. That turret's at 20%. Mid lane's under siege right now. They're going to keep trying.
That Bard ult was actually so sick because Bjergsen came down from top lane to go for the 5v4. But that Bard ult completely denied the engage and not only saved that mid lane, it got the free time for TF up on that top side to get damage down on that inhibitor tower. So the inhibitor tower, very slowly will regen, but it's really low on health. So if Bjergsen has to step away at all, one Lichbane blue card, and that's probably just dead at this point. So really nice play from Hui. Has been outstanding lately for Golden Guardians, and good damage of TSM.
Frost from the trap.
Yeah, trying to aggressively wave clear here.
And this is kind of the timing here. 20 seconds on Baron buff, 20 seconds and change on Ash Arrow, a bit less than that for that one side, a bit more than that for Broken Blades, Call of the Forge God. Those are the cooldowns Golden Guardians are playing around, trying to land snipes, trying to use rapid fire cannon autos for a bit of damage. Here comes TF ulti, Broken Blades at half HP, Bartle up again, catches double lift, more damage, double knock up, hard engage, Huhi's running out of health, but they might knock down Broken Blade, but they can't quite do it. He regens up, gets a shield, gets alive, and that is Baron buff timing out. The gold lead only 2,000, and as these teams reset, TSM, you gotta feel their favorite here.
They're very favored from this point forward, especially because they haven't been able to take any 5v5s. And guess what's coming in under 3 minutes? It is the Elder. That is generally the GG buff. That thing is insanely strong, and TSM are going to have their eyes on it. They couldn't crack any of the inhibitor towers because of that great defensive play from Hui. They almost got that top lane turret, but since it's still closed off, there's not the potential of just TF ulting into the base to take down the inhibitor itself or any sort of shenanigans like that. So it was actually really critical that they kept that turret alive.
And as we turn the corner here, it is now TSM point of view. The team in the driver's seat, the team that, yeah, the technical gold lead is not with them, but they are the stronger squad on the map right now. It is up to ingenuity from Golden Guardians. How good is your split push? The spooky ghosts are in the twin shadows for Demonte to find those picks out in the wings, to find the openings there. Red buff being started. It's on some vision, and a nice snipe by FBI is going to grab the red buff. He's got to get the Mikhail. The Clane's got to flash away, stays alive. Ulti going to catch Biofrost, and TPs are coming in from all sides. Closer goes for the kick, catches Biofrost 1 for 0. 5v4 the team fight. How good is it going to look? A double knockdown for Broken Blade, and Closer forced away as well. Hui low on health. Hanser pulled into the Depth Realm with the Broken Blade here as well. A snipe on double but half HP. FBI maybe can be the carry. More damage on Broken Blade, but the cleanse and the Mikhails, all those are on cooldown. No longer has tools to get away from the Heart CC. But somehow Golden Guardians found a way to burst a squishier member, to burst down Biofrost and say, look, you can't regen through death. We'll see you next time.
Nice kick onto Biofrost, but Bjergsen, I think he got way too greedy with his Shockwave. He actually tried to Shockwave FBI blind over the wall instead of just taking what looked like a guaranteed 2-man Shockwave on Hanser and Huhi. And if he Shockwaves them instead, they are for sure dead. And they could have just taken, you know, a guaranteed win. Instead, they tried to go for it all. They knew they'd force the 2SS, they'd force the flash, they wanted to commit to this. But again, great defensive play from Huhi, keeping him safe. And then watch when Bjergsen comes in here. He's really fishing for FBI, and they know if they kill off FBI, they hard win this fight. So instead of taking that Shockwave that was guaranteed on Huhi and Hanser, over the wall, blind, looks for it. FBI anticipates and steps back. So that is a critical error there from Bjergsen. With those 2 members dead, you have full run of the map. You could have probably gotten some towers as well. And, you know, that is something where sometimes you just got to take the guaranteed kills.
Yeah, and in the day he missed that one, and that means that it was a small team fight victory for Golden Guardians. The gold lead slightly pads in their favor, but Bjergsen's still a gigantic threat. Lost the Banshee's Veil. Ulti's gonna land. Again, they've got to find the play. They've got to find the CC. They've got to find the stun. The kick gets him over the wall. They're going to chase it down, though, and that's going to be the shutdown. The damage was there, and it's time to chase on down. Without Bjergsen, this fight is a lot easier. Double burns the QSS, flashes away from Hanser. Knockup engages there. He's going to pull the ulti into Broken Blade. They're going to fight 1v1 as Spica is forced to run backwards. Easy scuttle take here for TSM, but it's going to be Golden Guardians who want the chase. Spica at 200 health, flashes over the wall, and there is no contest here for the Elder Dragon. Spica trying to regen up. He gets a lock. Ocean Drake plus hitting jungle monsters, but it is a 5v4. Bjergsen cannot be in this fight, and they cannot steal the Elder Dragon. So Golden Guardians again find the pick they need. The ulti from Huhi sets it up, and they kill Bjergsen this time.
What can this guy do? Huhi is just on fire, refusing to lose here against TSM. Finds the ulti on Bjergsen right after they poked off the Banshees, and I didn't catch what actually was the spell that got it off. So Caitlyn Q then poking that Banshees off into the Huhi ultimate, killing off Bjergsen, and that gives them the Elder. The Elder gives them the Baron, and that gives them a shot in this game. We go to the Honda performance replay. It was, in fact, that Piltover Peacemaker. As soon as it's knocked off, that is a close-range Bart ultimate. You have to flash that. You cannot step outside when it is coming from that close, and then the pink wards come down on the Lantern, kicked over the wall, away from it, and he just gets burst down. It looked for a second like he might have been able to escape. Double Up at the instant QSS on that gold card, had to flash out as well to avoid Hanser on the flash pull-in. If he died there, it could have been even worse. But Bjergsen not able to flash that, perhaps didn't realize that his Banshee's Veil had been popped off by the Caitlyn Q.
If there's a time to win the game, it is now. You are never getting stronger than this point in. You were never getting stronger than this. Ocean Soul lets your tanks regen. It does not do a lot for your squishies. You have Elder buff for 1:10. You have Red Bull Baron for 2:10. It is time to kill the base. You are never going to be more power spiked than this. Biofrost tries to find the hook, can't find it just yet. This turret is gone. How many inhibs will they get? Can they reach the Nexus? Top lane turret gonna fall as well. Double inhib is a guarantee. Still 54 seconds on Elder and Double Lift. Gets a nice shield from Orianna. Means he barely feels the ulti out from Caitlyn. Bot wave not anywhere close. They're going for the Nexus on this. TSM must mount the defense on these turrets. Top lane under fire. Ball somewhat near where the siege would be. They keep spreading around. Looking to knock down the waves back and forth. Double cannon wave is in. Bjergsen knocks them down a bit. 2 autos will kill that one off. Banshee's Veil not yet knocked off Bjergsen. He is still not a target. 1 auto will knock down that top turret. Rapid fire cannon does do its worth in gold when you need little pot shots to knock those turrets down. Double does the best to wave clear. Gets a little bit of poke on FBI. Elder buff gone in 15 seconds. That is most of the combat power that Golden Guardians have. They walk in the next wave. They are not out of the top turret just yet, but they really need to put a couple of shots in. Bot lane taking some damage. A couple of cannon minions there as well. A little bit more poke comes in. First turret finally falls. Baron on for 1 minute here as the Elder falls off. Golden Guardians go for the ulti. They get 2. They get 2. Here comes the engage. And they're going to pull back Double Lift, and Flashless, he will die. A stopwatch. A Zonius keeps Devontae alive. The second turret is now gone as well, and they've pulled in the fight. They look for the kill. Broken Blade burns the QSS. The Nexus is falling, and Golden Guardians 2-0 in the best of 5.
Oh my god, Huhi again! Finding the incredible ultimate here. Golden Guardians battling back against Ocean Soul, pick after pick. That was incredible from them. Huhi having one of the most impressive Bard games you will see. This guy is just making it happen for the team. The only way they could win is finding these critical picks, and he found them time after time after time, getting them the Baron, getting them the Elder, getting them the Nexus.
who he is smurfing in this series. Absolutely massive. He and FBI have comboed to be maybe the best performing bot lane so far in playoffs. That said, it's been an exciting one to watch. He's been absolutely huge, and that's why Ocean Soul isn't always GG, because 40 health per second regen doesn't matter when the entire squad bursts you for 2K in 2 seconds. So well played to Golden Guardians. We'll see if they can do their second straight sweep of TSM in playoffs. They will knock them out of playoffs if that is the case right here. They got 3 chances to do it. Otherwise, TSM need the reverse sweep. Now, we are heading to a quick break, but when we return, we'll break down that win with the State Farm Analyst Desk.
And we've upgraded her with a sonic shield.
Impressive.
There is one more thing.
Huh. Jake from State Farm.
Here's the deal. With the Drive Safe and Save app, you'll save up to 30% for being a safe driver. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Si te equivocas de bando, la palmas.
¿Hay por ahí otro registro de Dyer? Por muy espantoso que parezca, vas a tener que destrozar el brazo congelado de este doble desgraciado. Sus armas. No sé quién disparó primero, pero están muertos. Eso es lo que importa.
Welcome back to the LCS after a somewhat unexpected 2-0 position now in this best of 5. TSM with Ocean Soul at 1 point, but Golden Guardians find a way to fight back into this one in what felt like a doomed game in the late game there, Crumbs.
Who he found, the clutch pick on the most important member of TSM, Bjergsen, and from that Bjergsen was doing so much work on his Orianna. He was 4-0 at some point, just picking on Hunter, who had no business trying to 1v1 this Orianna. And this was a play that ended up being a huge turnaround in the favor of TSM, where they just get a fat 2-0.
It's kind of crazy that the best plays that TSM had this game were Orianna's side lane plays onto Mordekaiser when you have this, what should be a front-to-back team fight and team comp that's successfully stacked their Ocean Drakes. It was definitely a weird game to see how this actually ended up going down. And for the credit I want to give Golden Guardians, and this is going to be very sad for TSM, this entire game I thought TSM was going to win, but I kept saying how happy I was with how Golden Guardians was trying to make plays over and over, though they were just messing them up. Going all the way back to level 3 in the bot lane, where Spica face check Closer, who he wanted to flash Q him on the wall to stun him and set that kill, but they misexecuted. Then they misexecuted play on Biofrost and the top lane ports, and like so many things were going wrong for Golden Guardians, despite being the aggressors the entire time, and TSM was still struggling to win this game. So I thought, okay, after the Soul, at least Golden Guardians play well, it'll be good game 3. They still somehow managed to win this game. It blew my mind.
I mean, this is a fight that they're fighting against Dragon Soul, where FBI is getting, you know, quote-unquote, getting caught, was able to escape and trap Biofrost when they go forward. So yeah, this was a point where it's like, wow, they got a lucky fight, but they won't get it again. But highlighting Bjergsen, he loses his Banshees here. And who he recognized, it's gone. Bjergsen has to flash this. He is the sole carry for TSM right now. He's basically their entire team. And this play is what got got Golden Guardians the win, because they're able to pick the most important member on TSM.
I love the commitment there by Golden Guardians as well. They see their one opening and everyone goes for it. Double pink wards onto the Lantern. You see everyone charging in, knowing if we kill him here, this is the game. If not, we may be in that outscaled state where the Ocean Soul becomes too powerful.
This is the guy that has 10 bans dropped against him on the side of Golden Guardians. Like,
still their best player.
Nobody matters.
Yeah,
but
still doing the most.
Which is amazing that, like, where is the rest of the team? Somebody's got to step up. You cannot ask more of an individual if you're getting this targeted. Like, somebody on TSM has to step up. And I'm looking at Doublelift. You have Biofrost as the lane now, but the Ashe is not delivering the impact that she has to.
I absolutely love that you call that out, because it should be recognized the amount of focus that Golden Guardians has thrown towards the mid lane. And so while, yes, we look at that one mistake there being the end-all, be-all for TSM, when it is Bjergsen individually who's making it by stepping too far forward without the Banshees, he has also been the brightest point for TSM throughout this series. And so we are looking for someone else to step up alongside them. Of course, Mark, I do want to return to that point that you were making, though, real quick about Golden Guardians, because throughout the early portions and through to the end, late game parts of the game, it was Golden Guardians who was taking the aggressive stance in all cases, but they were plagued with some misexecution throughout this game. You know, so is there any concern there?
Not if I'm Golden Guardians. They're a great early game team, and they had a bad early game where they missed kill after kill after kill after kill while conceptually making good plays. And they're not going to do that again, which is why I look at this game and I go, TSM can't even win the game where Golden Guardians messes up early game. Well, what game are they supposed to win? You got Soul. You didn't fall that far behind the early game. You're 1K behind against a team that had a better early game and had globals and stuff. You got to the point you're supposed to win the game, and then they still lost. It's such a scary for TSM fans, but also speaks to how good Golden Guardians is at playmaking, that they just keep going. You know, they don't care that they missed. They don't care that they're flashing under turret with Caitlyn Closer. Like, what is that play mid that they're going for? But they go for them over and over again, and eventually, yeah, they find the one opportunity that blows the game open, because they recognize this is when we win the game.
Probably. Yeah, them being able to see the windows and execute on them is really, really important, because a lot of teams will be scared off of these windows, or they'll play too safe. But yeah, every time TSM would try to make a play or go somewhere, Golden Guardians kept trying to make that play. And yeah, the issue was just the hands problem, timing, right? They're double stacking stuns and stuff, and they're not landing the Kate traps on the Bard ult. Yeah. Like, these are all things that are fixable within a game. If your team does not see these windows, they don't understand the concepts, that's really hard to fix. That takes weeks. But this mistake these mistakes Golden Guardians are making are literally just, oh yeah, you just move your cursor over. Like, they can fix that in this next game. And the fact that they're 2-0, whew, that's pretty terrifying to play against.
All right, well, easy fixes then for Golden Guardians, and they're already in the lead, looking to shut out TSM with another 3-0. But let's talk about TSM on blue side with side selection. So we are flipping sides of the map for the first time in the series. What are the options here? What are the outs? We talked about Bjergsen being hard targeted. Is this some kind of, disgusting first pick priority? Get him something super comfortable blind?
Give me the Zed. I don't know.
Like, what do you do in this situation?
Not that far. I mean, I think they had a good idea. With Broken Blade on the tank, please revisit that. I don't want to see giving this guy resources. He's fine on his own, and it gives you more freedom in the bot lane. TSM did have good vision control that game, so I think if they draft similarly, where they're playing this, weak side top laner and hopefully more aggressive mid. I think if they changed it around to get more CC in their composition, play around mid and bot, I think they have a chance.
Yeah, I think Caitlyn, and no Graves, all right? No more Graves. That experiment should stop now. And we need some CC. We need some playmaking from the jungle.
Put
Picks
it back
like
on the Lee
Volibear,
Sin, man. Give me that Lee Sin.
Sure, just no more Graves.
Yeah, let's see some plays made in the early game. Mark?
I mean, I understand all the things we're suggesting, but it feels pretty doomed where you're going up against a better early game team, and even when you get your team fight, team comp that gets to scale in the mid to late game, you have a better team fight, team comp, and you have Ocean Soul, and you can't win. It's just like, it makes you as a coach go like, so what am I supposed to give this team? You know, like what draft do I win on? Because it doesn't seem to be any of them.
I mean, hey guys, I think I'm starting to read that Mark thinks TSM stands no chance in this series.
Give him the handshake.
I don't know about you guys, but it's starting to feel like maybe Mark thinks this one's all done and dusted.
Maybe they can at least show up something on the blue side, though, because we haven't seen them on that yet.
Yeah!
They're legitimately playing for their lives here, right? You were done here. You go home. You got a long-ass vacation, so they should know that they need to give everything that they have left on
Here's
this
what I'm
match.
thinking, Mark. They already tried the late game scaling, control mage in Orianna. Why don't they take a page, out of the 131 EG book and go with like the Kassadin for Bjergsen in the mid lane, right? Let's just try another version of scaling, and instead of putting Bjergsen with the team, just say Bjergsen, do it in a side lane alone. How about that?
AP Cog.
I was joking about the Zed as well. I don't really want Zed, but some sort of mid lane assassin with a strong mid jungle 2v2 and just hope Bjergsen 1v9.
Or Echo for him, right? Yeah, maybe
1v5 AP Cog. It can do it. The champion that can actually do it, and no one's going to ban it.
Okay. All right. There's some thoughts. We're grasping at straws because it looks pretty grim for TSM right now, down 0-5 holistically against Golden Guardians in the postseason. With that victory, Golden Guardians have brought us to match point. We'll be bringing you Game 3 right after this.
perdido la cuenta.
Hello and welcome back for Game 3 in our best of 5 series. Golden Guardians have beaten TSM 5 games in a row, a 3-game sweep 2 weeks ago, and looking like a 3-game sweep here today. Ironic considering that TSM 2-0'd Golden Guardians in the summer split regular season. But if TSM want to do it now, they got a reverse sweep to have a chance of going to Worlds.
And the way in which they're doing it is also surprising, because both these games were very winnable for TSM. There was multiple key moments where it felt like TSM could have played slightly differently and won that game. But you've got to give it to Golden Guardians, despite, I think, a comp disadvantage at that point in the game, you know, a scaling disadvantage, Ocean Soul on the opponents. They were just more clutch. They played better when it mattered in those critical moments. It doesn't matter if, on average, TSM played better over the course of the game with if you fail in those critical moments, right? And Hui becomes so big for the team, FBI becomes so big for the team, you know, especially that bottom lane, I think really shining through. The 2v2 has been very even throughout these 2 games, so TSM has improved in that regard. But Hui is just finding so many picks. You know, this is a composition when they're playing that kind of split push style with the TF, where you feel like, oh, they're not getting the dragons, you know, they're not really getting locked on the side lanes. This is going to be a rough game. And I think most teams from that point would have just continued to try to split push and maybe try to get something done and probably slowly lost the game. Instead, they recognized that wasn't working. They grouped, they depended on Hui to actually find, you know, great Bard ultimates, and multiple times in a row, he found the critical members on TSM, got them those picks, got them those kills, and they are 1 game away from Worlds, when they had never won a playoff series in the organization's history prior to this year. And now coming into the split, they've won against TSM already once. They're looking to beat them again and go straight to Worlds.
Well, a battle with Cloud9 for the 3rd spot, I believe, would be
excuse me. Yes, of course.
But, I mean, the point still stands, right? The squad hadn't won a best of 5 in their lives. And yeah, here they are about to maybe 6-0, and then, you know, a battle they haven't played yet, right? C9, who has been faltering in the late half of the split, is certainly a battle they could win. And, you know, TSM, I feel bad because they were the longest running Worlds team. I mean, they were there from the very first one in 2011, and then 2018, 2019, and now about to be 2020, missing it as well. And of course, we're into the draft, so we'll skip this talk for now. As set for TSM, flexible top jungle. We saw Bjergsen play it in Game 3 against Golden Guardians last time around, so you might re-up that one. We've seen supports like Ruby also play set.
How salty would TSM fans be if Bjergsen plays set?
Go back to Bjergsen set. And I was like, yeah, give him Zed, or I don't know, something to like 1v5 on. Crumb's all hype on AP Cog. It's like, it's set time, let's go.
What about full tank set though?
What about full tank fiddle? You know, just one more of those.
One more for good times, but yeah. We'll see if they do want to put it, you know, top, mid, or jungle. It is a 3-way flex. Now, theoretically, it can go support, but generally it only is considered if it's alongside Kalista. So it is going to be, you know, Ashe in the bottom lane. The Caitlyn has been banned out. So TSM, you know, getting a little bit more serious, have made some adjustments. They ban out the Caitlyn, so that's not going to be over for FBI. They take the Ashe because they are on blue side, so that is their main adaptation. So FBI will be put on more of a supportive style of champion. We are seeing almost exclusively farming Senna, so you don't think it's going to be fasting Senna or anything like that, which does mean that, you know, Doublelift is going to be on a champion that has higher amounts of DPS. They have the Azir, so that is a tremendous amount coming out from the mid lane as well. And we'll see how Golden Guardians do look when I think there's going to be more onus on other members other than FBI to really be that team fight carry, because on the Caitlyn has been getting work done in these last 2 games.
Answer again on the Mordekaiser, only half sure that set is up in the top lane, and I believe he's actually more commonly a jungler anyway, but wants that one locked in as soon as possible, and they'll wait to see. We'll see if TSM has a counter pick or Mordekaiser in mind. As you can see, the matchup he put himself into, right? He picked Mordekaiser into Ornn, says, but we're going to ban Ornn here.
I mean, if you are willing to actually commit to more of a side lane player or a top lane style, and I'm not sure that TSM will be, but Jax is a great matchup, right? You can block the Volibear stun with that as a Q, counts as an auto attack. You know, you win that 1v1, you can outscale the Mordekaiser in the 1v1. That can be very, very strong. It does require some attention to actually protect the Jax, especially in the early game when Jax is fairly vulnerable. But you can get a tremendous side lane advantage. I also think that it can help to deny and match up well against things like TF if Golden Guardians wants to go that way as well, because you can also block the gold card with your E. It's fairly powerful against Senna, who is reliant on few but very strong auto attacks, so it can work out well there. I'm not sure if TSM would be willing to go to it, because it's not just Broken Blade that would have to make the adjustment. The entire team has to play differently around one of those kind of side lane counter picks.
All right, well, Mordekaiser being covered by the Gangplank and Ornn bans. TSM throwing some mid lane bans that we've been seeing out of Golden Guardians. His Lucian was actually pretty solid against Team Liquid. And we go to the pick that we had twice before. You saw the Ziggs hover. It may still be the lock-in, but no, still wants to play Echo. Okay. Ziggs Azir was 2-0 for these players. Damonte played it game 1 and 2 against Bjergsen, won both those games. Says, you know what, we're done with that style, though. We're going to stay with the Echo. We like it against Syndra. We like it against Azir, too.
Really interesting, because I actually would have felt like the Ziggs would fit more alongside the Senna, because Senna is fairly low DPS, right? So generally you want a really high source of DPS from another lane. The Jax, I talked about it. I think it's the pick. I didn't think that TSM would have the confidence to go to it, but wow, they actually are going to. So I'm actually so excited. We get to see how TSM can play around a side lane win condition, especially with an AP mid laner and a tank jungler. You can rush things like the Wit's End, which are ridiculously strong in this 1v1, and itemize heavily towards that. Because anyone who's going to answer you in the side lane is going to be magic damage. If you go Karma last pick, the only physical damage that you really care about at all is going to be from Senna. That's easily answerable by your Counter-Strike. So I do think that your itemization becomes incredibly simple this game, for Broken Blade. And that can be really, really tough to deal with if they can get it going. If you can get to things like Wit's End, Death Dance, Merc Treads, of course you're going to want, maybe the Blade of Rune King and Triforce in there at some point. But the AP itemization, the anti-AP itemization is quite strong for the Jax. So this is a really smart pick, and I like that TSM have the confidence to go to it in what would be an elimination game here for them.
Yeah, if there's a winning draft for TSM, it is this one. I like this comp a lot. I think Doublelift is a very proficient Ashe player. I love the Broken Blade Jax. It is exactly the kind of style he wants to play. I want to see Spica spend some time up there. Bjergsen's Azir, we know, is absolutely phenomenal. Just off the draft, this feels like TSM taking a game and moving us to game 4. Obviously, you have to play the game out, but I like this one so much. I think the Golden Guardians win conditions are so incredibly narrow here.
Yeah, they are, but I felt like that last game. I mean, if we freeze frame last game, at the point where TSM gets Soul, what are the odds you're giving, right? Like, if you're giving TSM incredible odds, so you still have to be able to play out the game. And I will say, I think the draft is fantastic.